Utilities, Wednesday, February 25th. Welcome to the first overflow day of Cleveland City Council's budget hearings. We're going to start with the presentation this morning from Cleveland Public Power. So Director and Commissioner, if we can have you guys head up to the table. Troy, whoever else is. Director, good morning. If you'd like to introduce your team, and then we can get going.
Thank you. Good morning, Chairman, members of the committee. Marty Kane, Director of Public Utilities. To my left is Executive Commissioner Danielle Graham. To my right, CFO Catherine Troy, and then Commissioner Ammon Danielson. We will be starting with the presentation for the Division of Cleveland Public Power, in which we will have the Commissioner and CFO.
Commissioner?
All right, good morning. Can I get the remote, please? There we go. All right, thank you very much for having us here. It's a pleasure to be back at the table. I'll provide a quick overview, and then Catherine has more details on our customers and financial information, and then a quick rundown on our operations. So first, just want to point out, or a reminder, that Cleveland Public Power, like the other divisions in the Department of Public Utilities, is an enterprise fund. Essentially, every dollar that we receive goes to operate, procure supplies, repair and maintain our grid, and we receive those dollars from our customers. Our mission is fairly straightforward, providing reliable and economical electric service throughout the city. We work on delivering energy, of course, but we also maintain and operate the streetlights and certainly respond to customer inquiries. We have coverage of about 2/3 of the city, somewhere around 74,000 customers, and approximately 65,000 streetlights. Quick point is that does overlap with First Energy, and since questions come up before, our infrastructure does not, we don't share our infrastructure with First Energy, so we have our own unique grid and service territory. Our infrastructure is comprised of a lot of lines of transmission and distribution. So the transmission lines are 138,000 volts. Primary distribution lines are 13.8 thousand, 11,000, and 2,400. The substations step that down and basically go from transmission to primary distribution. All right, Catherine has some more details on our customers and financial standing. Sorry.
That's okay. Thank you, Ammon. As you can see, this is our customer base based on the new ward map that we have. The first number is the number of customers in the ward. The number that is in parentheses, that I'm sure everyone can see very clearly, is the number of those in the affordability program. We have approximately almost 66,000 residential customers, 6,400 small commercial customers, and then the remaining are large commercial, small industrial, and then when you look at other, those are our street lights and protective lights. When our customers see their bill, there are three main sections of that bill. The first is the electricity charge. This is what lets CPP run the system. So this is going towards salaries, wages, equipment, materials to pay down the debt, as well as our capital. The second section is power supply recovery. We are on the market. We do not produce our own power, so everything that we have to pay for, so we pass that along to our customers. We are at what the price of the market is what we are paying for and passing on to our customers. The third is the kilowatt hour tax, which is required by state law, and it is a certain portion of the kilowatt hours are charged to the customer. On slide 11, you will see a sample of our bill for the Cleveland residents. You can see the electricity charge for the summer is 9.7 cents, and in the winter it is 8.21 cents. The power supply recovery is shown, and then the kilowatt hour tax is below that. So for our summer bill, average is $102.05, and the winter is $94.07. Our typical residential customer is averaged at 535 kilowatt hours each month. As always, we like to make sure that our customers know and council understands where our dollar goes. So for every dollar that our customer pays, 62 cents goes towards power, 17 cents goes to capital, 14 cents goes to field operations. So the people that you see, the men and women that you see working in the streets, that is that part. Administrative services, which includes the call center, commissioner's office, sales and marketing. And then 3 cents goes to finance, which is the indirect cost and interdepartmental charges that aren't easily identified to go into those sections above. CPP's financial metrics, they are rated by 2 of the major bond rating agencies, Moody's and S&P. They have an A3 rating and an A- rating for those 2. Total debt outstanding for CPP is $132 million, and the 2026 budget is requested today is $260.9 million. CPP has a very broad group of individuals. As you can see, ethnicity-wise, Black and African American are 54%, white is 27%, Hispanic or Latino is 11%, and other is included at 8%. Our age is pretty well rounded in CPP, and our residentials, Cleveland residents are almost 49% of our entire population. And with that, I am returning it back to Ammon.
Okay, thank you. And thank you to Kenny for continuing to make a hard hat look fashionable. So, first thing in our operations I want to highlight and that we are very proud of is our apprenticeship program, particularly the Intern to Apprentice program. For this, we essentially recruit directly out of CMSD and other local high schools. They stay as a student or an intern for approximately a year, learn the utility, how we work, how we function, get some exposure, and then also have the opportunity to take some pole climbing classes and get their CDL. After completing that, what is essentially a bridge, they can transition into a full union member. They spend some time as a driver and a helper before then transitioning to this apprenticeship program. The core program, or the highest number of apprentices, are line workers. That is a 4-year training program. It's all on the job for the most part, but then there are evening classes as well. And of course, a big component of any apprenticeship is strong mentors, in that we have a very strong union training program that they develop new apprentices each year. There are a variety of tracks there that they can go into, and want to highlight all of them. Pay quite well. Starting out line worker right now, I think, is over $45 an hour. So we're, again, quite proud of this program, quite proud of the opportunities that it provides for local students. Our administrative office, we've got about 100 employees. They work every day to support customers, crews in the field. There's customer care, assisting directly with inquiries, trouble dispatch that helps send field crews where they are needed. They are 24/7 desk. Of course, we have a strong engineering department that has engineers working or focused on electricity, civil, SCADA, and just project managers for the different developments, initiatives, and major capital projects. Our meter service center, smaller group focus, extremely important to our operations. This includes some components in customer care, quite a few people in the field coordinating directly with customers. This is things like move-ins, move-outs, installing new meters on premises, and ensuring that those meters are operating correctly. For our operations, as you can see, this is by far our largest department. We are extremely customer-focused and have many, many crews in the field at any given time. Operating, maintaining, repairing our infrastructure, new construction, and we have folks that are working directly on that infrastructure, climbing poles, spending nights splicing cables. That includes mechanics that keep our trucks on the road and ensuring that the lights stay lit and repairing all of those different parts of our infrastructure as needed. This is highly skilled crews and a lot of different trades right there. Finally, for some of our operation metrics, I think some of that speaks for itself, but I just want to highlight that we do maintain staff on hand 24/7 every day of the year, rain, snow, shine, holidays. Anytime there is an issue, we are there and respond immediately. And then, of course, we do work to get our bills out on time and make sure that our customers are receiving what they need. Finally, if you have any questions, then Catherine can help. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Brooke, can you read Cleveland Public Power?
Page 323, Cleveland Public Power, Commissioner Ammon Danielson. Page 324, salaries, 2025 unaudited, $22,403,265. 2026 budgeted, $24,183,807. Total expenditures on page 326, 2025 unaudited, $218,981,614. 2026 budgeted, $260,903,423. And page 329, staffing, 2025 actual, 234. 2026 budgeted, 305. Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Just a quick couple of questions. Commissioner, when you said that we had 74,000 customers, do you mean 74,000 residential accounts?
Question, and yes, that is correct. That's essentially a meter count, but it's all the
Right.
different types.
So CPP, just for the record, probably services more than 100,000 Cleveland residents,
Much
correct?
more, yes.
Okay, all right. All right, for me, on page 324, Director, we've had this conversation throughout the last couple of days about under utilities with your telephone, and then we have telephone exchange. Can you just explain?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. So the telephone portion under the utilities is our traditional telephone lines at Cleveland Public Power, their portion of it. The telephone exchange that's reflected on page 326 is dramatically different. Those are AT&T accounts mostly for data. We do have, as the Commissioner outlined in the presentation, 33 substations, a number of outlying facilities that still require the old type of communications. Now, we did make a significant upgrade. You'll notice that we budgeted a significant bigger number, a much bigger number in 2025 and spent more. That was for the necessary upgrades of our SCADA system, which is the communications between all the substations and the control center to make sure that we're NERC compliant, maintaining our compliance under federal regulations. So we did make those necessary upgrades, and we're happy to report that we're very close on those SCADA upgrades within the first half of this year, would be comfortable to say. But the telephone exchange is mostly data lines that are, because CPP is jurisdictionally in the city of Cleveland, we are beholden to AT&T under the state DREG, so AT&T telecommunications and data lines.
All right, staying on page 324, under electricity other. You got
Yes.
$2 million budgeted for that?
So while CPP does have a significant service area in the city of Cleveland, there are certain sections that we do not have the necessary infrastructure. So those would be streetlight power in areas which we don't have the infrastructure. So we have to pay our competitor.
And if we did cover the whole city, we wouldn't, if CPP covered the whole city, correct, we wouldn't need to purchase power for streetlights from a competitor, correct?
Correct. And we, Chairman, we do negotiate a block term purchase of that power, so they're not profiting significantly. It is under an agreement. If we were to continue to expand and have infrastructure on every street and neighborhood, that we would still have to buy the power for the streetlights. It would just stay with us.
Right.
Right.
All right, staffing levels? Total, you've had 234, but we're budgeting for 305 again?
Yes. So in the staffing levels, Chairman, specifically at the Division of Cleveland Public Power, we did build up in 2025, and we plan to continue to do that, specifically in the customer care side of the house. And I should have introduced at the beginning Assistant Commissioner Bernie Jackson, who's in the back, and Corey Jones, who's our manager of the call center, couldn't make it. She had a conflict today. But that's the side of the house that we're focusing on 2026. That's what this budget reflects, to continue to. We have 3, I believe, call center representatives in training right now. So that number is moving. Yeah, I mean, while we know 305 is likely unattainable in 2026 because of attrition and people leaving, we're going to go out and continue to seek those employees to fill those needs for our customers.
Okay. Before I open it up to comments or questions from my colleagues, I want to remind people in the room that CPP is probably the only division within the city of Cleveland where it directly competes with somebody else. We have another entity in the city that would love to see Cleveland Public Power go away. And we all know who I'm speaking of, although I don't typically use their name. But they're in direct competition with not only a corporate conglomerate, but also individuals within the city who in the past have done everything they could to make sure that they do everything they can to hurt Cleveland Public Power. And Cleveland Public Power is a major asset to 2/3 of the city of Cleveland, and hopefully one day it'll be the whole city of Cleveland. So I want to remind people of that. I also want to remind individuals that Cleveland Public Power is not sitting on trial currently for doing anything allegedly illegal, nor do we have any testimony currently going down at the State House asking for forgiveness and not being able to provide basic services to customers. So I just want to keep that in mind for individuals. All right, so I'll open it up to questions from my colleagues. Councilman Polensek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, my honorable colleagues, and to the director and the commissioner and the team from CPP. I'm going to follow up on Councilman Casey's line of questioning. You have the map showing the grid where, if you would throw that up again on the screen. You have a large portion of the east side. You don't have all of the south, I guess it would call that be southeast or southwest there. And then when you get to the far west side, there's very little. Has there ever been an estimated cost established of what it would take to get to the airport?
Chairman of the council member, there has been, it's old, an estimated cost, but I did have the privilege of listening to Port Control a little bit when they were at the table and do agree with the sentiments of council on the expansion, and the commissioner and I have been in conversations as they embark on a significant improvement there. We would love to be a part of it. It's more than money, unfortunately. With currently 4 interconnections with a competitor, just the engineering and the federal oversight of an expansion like that. I'm not saying we're not discouraged at all by it, but it's a lot of work and it's started. So I hope that is good news based on the conversation from yesterday. Not to the point where we are getting those designed engineered studies, but we are looking at possible routes and expansion routes and what it would take to make it happen.
Because would that be the largest customer you could pick up on the west side?
Chairman and the councilman, on the west side, yes.
Yeah, okay. So again, through the chair, because this has been kicked around for years and years, and there comes a point, either we pull the trigger or we just continue to pay First Energy a large amount of money every year, and then continue to deny a large segment of our population in the West Park area and beyond, that we deny them the opportunity to be a customer of Cleveland Public Power. So I'm hoping that at some point, the administration will really take these thoughts up in a very serious manner and at least come back to us with, here's the cost. This is what it would cost to get out to the airport, and then figure out how we can collectively do it. Councilman Casey had mentioned the question on 324. On 325, under purchase power, materials and supplies, you've unaudited is 87 million. Now you're proposing 104 million this year. Is that just a general, because of the inflation, because of the market conditions? What has prompted such a large increase?
Thank you, Chairman, to the council member. So on those 3 line items on page 325, the purchase power, the transmission cost, and the
Right.
capacity charges, when you're talking about market conditions, those would predominantly be reflected in the capacity charges, where you'll see that we budgeted in 25 4 million, and now we're budgeting 30 million.
Yeah,
The purchase power from the 2025 unaudited was and it will be reflected and talked about on page 326, where we had an opportunity to realign something called a renewable energy credit. So through our assets that generate power, we get these credits. They're called renewable energy credits. We were able to, in 2025, 4 into 5, book that as a reduction in our purchase power. So that's it was about $12 million, and that's what's reflected in the 2024 and 2025 actual and unaudited, was that reduction. So it's going back up to normal, but the market conditions are in that capacity charge.
and that's a big change.
Capacity, yes, unbelievable,
Unreal.
yes.
I mean, we're talking from 4 million to 30 million?
And that's not just us, that's
So that's
everybody.
across the board. So we are part of a RTO called PJM, and it is based on the needs of the grid overall for our entire region. And with the expected increase in need for power across the board, the capacity charges are related to that.
Data centers.
Hey, that's a real hit right there. On the infrastructure, on page 326, under capital outlay, you've gone from adopted 3.5 million. This year, you're estimating it to be 12 million. Do you have a list of those projects?
Chairman, to the council members, so we do have the capital outlay for 2025, and then a big portion of that would be in generation, local generation, which council gave us the authority in December to start a feasibility study and potential site locations for renewable generation. But when we did the renewable energy credit realignment. Because it's in the purchase power, it will go back into the generation of local power, which I know council's very interested in, obviously our customers are very interested in, and so is Cleveland Public Power.
So it takes me into my next question as it pertains to the reliability of the system, the condition of our grid, the condition of the system at present. I've been greatly concerned, as the commissioner knows and as you know, about the outages, even in good weather outages. No wind, no storms, no nothing, bingo, power's out. And the Collinwood area on your map, you don't have the maps broken down by the wards, but Ward 10 is the largest customer base.
There's the map there.
Okay. Largest customer base on the east side, and then when you take in Ward 9, our neighbor, again, from Collinwood into Glenville, you add up those areas, that's a large hunk of your system. The system that is presently in place goes back, basically back to the villages of Collinwood Village and Glenville. It's an old system, so I need to understand, and I'm not going to belabor the point today at the table, but I need to know at some point what steps are being taken to upgrade the system on that northeast side of the city.
Director?
Thank you, Chairman, to the council members. So yes, necessary upgrades to our entire system is needed, specifically in the neighborhoods that you represent. And across, our objective now is to, yes, upgrade the infrastructure, but modernize the infrastructure. Those ATOs and the SCADA system is something that we are heavily invested in. It might not stop all of the outages, but it will isolate them and give us a better idea of where those outages have occurred in order for quicker response time. So we want to minimize the extent of the outage, and then 100% minimize the time duration that any of our customers are out of power. So it's not necessarily another brand new substation, which isn't economical at this time, especially with the prices of the equipment and the timelines associated with it. So what we're trying to do is through the upgraded SCADA system, be smarter about how we serve our customers, that in the event of an outage, which there will always be an outage.
Yeah.
It is an imperfect service
I
that we
understand.
provide. Things happen. But if we can minimize it, isolate it to a certain smaller percentage of the area, and then respond quicker, then we're better serving our customers, which is why we are here.
Okay, that's gonna happen this year?
We will start the SCADA system will be upgraded. Commissioner is the expert, not me.
Commissioner?
SCADA should finish
Miss-
this year, through the chair, SCADA should finish this year. What we're talking about, this is essentially a 10-year plan. So depending on the infrastructure upgrades, it is starting this year, RFP or RFQ, depending on the relevant. If we're talking about rebuilding a substation, that is a multi-year effort. Some of those things that the director was talking about in terms of shrinking, isolating, increasing, or improving our response time, we are starting to deploy we will be deploying those into the system this year.
Well, I've heard, I've been working on a 48-year upgrade plan, okay? That's what I've been hearing constantly. We're gonna upgrade. I've heard that for that long period of time. So I just want to continue to stress the point that the system ain't getting any younger. It's not getting any younger on the northeast side. And we've got to, at some point, we're gonna have to come up with a real game plan, not in 10 years, but in a game plan to address the major concerns that we're experiencing out there. My last question, Mr. Chairman, to the director and to the commissioner. The staffing levels, you touched, we were down significantly, 2025, the actuals. There's our pay scale. How does our pay scale compare to First Interstate?
Chairman, to the council members, so the majority of the workers in
First Energy, excuse me.
Cleveland Public Power are members of Local 39. So the pay scale is negotiated in that collective bargaining agreement. On top of that, we offer significant incentives for overtime and some different things. So it is We have comparables when we negotiate, and I would just be able to say that we're comparable.
Okay. Because I keep asking, why do we have such a problem trying to fill these are good paying jobs, correct?
That's correct, Chairman, to the councilman.
All right,
So-
Councilman,
It's-
you want back on the list?
Yeah.
They're all having-
Let them just respond and I'm through.
Okay, all right.
Through the chair, this is a national problem, and that is a big part of why we have that apprenticeship program. But if, especially we're talking about line workers, it is a national problem, regardless of pay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Director, if you don't know this answer today, if you could get us, of the outages that occur, can you let us know how many are either man-made or acts of God? And how many are infrastructure or our own fault for equipment failure or anything like that?
Yes,
All right.
understood. Thank you.
Councilman Harsh.
Thank you, Chairman, for stealing my thunder. That was my question.
You're welcome. Does that mean you're done?
No,
Okay.
of course not. I have 10 minutes, right? Right. All right, we just got started. This is morning time.
I know.
We're not even fully caffeinated yet. Through the chair, I will also reiterate my robust enthusiasm for CPP and understanding that the competitor is a corrupt institution that has bilked the Ohio taxpayers for billions of dollars, and people are going to jail, and people have already taken their own lives. It is a horrible situation, and it's just shocking to me that the political institution in Columbus that empowers it has not had to pay the political price yet. But hey, we are going to do our work up here in Cleveland and keep providing power at a reasonable price as best we can. That said, in the coverage map, you'll notice that my neighborhood is about 50-50. I've got about half of CPP and half of the other folks. And it's not lost on me that when my neighbors go down with your competitor, they don't call me. They don't let me know when there's an outage with the other folks because they know I have nothing to do with it. But every time there's an outage with CPP, I get the call because they know it's a city institution and they know that I'm their representative at the city council. So I hear about every single outage at CPP and nothing about the others. That said, Councilman Casey's point was exactly where I wanted to go with this. 839 minor outages, 262 major outages. Through the chair to the commissioner or director, if we were to chart that on a graph, would that be up or down over the course of 10 years? Generally trending.
Commissioner, so we've started tracking it differently, Commissioner.
So especially for the major outages, I believe it would generally trend down, but it is relatively stable. We are improving, I think, our response times. One thing to really highlight there is, especially depending on the year, we are seeing more severe weather. And that is the #1 driver of those outage trends.
Okay. Because I think it's important for the residents to know whether or not their disruptions in service are typical to the grid no matter where you live or if they're specific to their location. So aside from Chairman Casey's request about man-made versus structural, or I'm sorry, human error, cars hitting poles, right? The #1 cause of down power is cars hitting poles, right? Versus infrastructure's not keeping up. I do have people verifying low output in their homes. I have electricians in my neighborhood that plug their stuff into their wall and say, I'm only getting this, I'm supposed to get more. I've had people go out to transformers and dial them up and say, oh, that was cranking out a low voltage, I think, and turn up those transformers. So I know that some of this issue is on the distribution side and the controllable side of affairs. But I don't know if it's an outsized percentage of the problem, or if it's the really typical normal, no matter where you live, rural Montana, New York City, or Cleveland, you're gonna have this type of problem. I don't know how to talk to them about that. So the information that we're asking for would help us answer those calls because we get them. The follow-up to that is, I know that it was asked at the start of this, what would it cost to get out to the airport? But if you were to wave your magic wand and update the current infrastructure that we have to industry leading, best standard, what would the cost of upgrading the CPP's current infrastructure be if we were to ballpark it through the chair?
So Chairman of the council member, as you might recall, about 3 years ago, we did the facility assessment.
We did.
And in that, now, it wasn't industry state of the art. It wasn't the best. It was necessary upgrades, and I believe the number was north of $250 million, the long-term capital improvement plan.
Yeah. And through the chair, at $250 million, how many years would it take us to achieve that if we were to apply our current capital investment?
250 million divided by 7.
7
That's what our
years.
current.
I mean, so on average, we're spending $7 million on capital every year, so.
So 250 divided by, I assume so 40 years. A little less than 40 years. Okay. So, Mr. Chair, I think that this body needs to figure out how to speed that up. We need to find where the money is. Reliance on electricity is not going down, it's going up. More and more people, we've got people now that are upset about natural gas usage. They want all of our houses to switch over to nothing but electric, which means electric heat, electric cooking, which would drive up the rate and demand for electricity. And that could be, another big drain on the power grid. Two last questions. One, through the chair, are we legally allowed to service any customers outside our municipal border? Are we cut off at the?
So through the chairman to the council member, state law would prohibit, and there is some conflicting precedent in that regard, but state law caps your ability to serve outside of your municipal jurisdiction at I think 50%, 49 point whatever percent. So that's the interpretation of the Constitution that we read, that we could serve up to half of our load, but there is a lot of pending litigation across the state as to munis going beyond their jurisdictions and competing. And then you get into federal law, which makes it more expensive to determine.
Okay. That's weird. So aside from that little jaunt into Bracknell on the map, do we service anywhere outside the city of Cleveland?
Chairman of the councilman, we do.
We do. Okay. Last question is about page 325. I just want to make sure I understood this because I think it was a good question, and I don't feel completely comfortable that I understand the answer. The purchase power, the power transmission costs, and the capacity charges. So purchase power seems to be up about 15%, or at least that's what we're projecting. Power transmission costs is relatively stable, but the capacity charge goes up by a ridiculous percentage. Explain again what the cause is for that. I'm sorry, I know you did, but I just didn't quite understand it, and what this has to do with how we've been talking a lot about AI. That this is a big national story. It drains on power grids and all this, fancy new gadgets that we've got, and what it actually costs us. So, could you do that one more time,
Director?
Chairman, to the council member, the way that I have learned the capacity charge is that the cost to ensure that there are enough resources on the entire grid, right? So in PJM, the 5 states, no.
Through the chair, PJM is?
PJM is our grid. So the United States is broken up into grids. PJM is the East Coast.
Okay.
New York City, us to Michigan is all in the PJM. What's it called? ITO something or other. RTO, Regional Transmission Operator, is
Got it.
PJM, heavily regulated by NERC. The capacity cost is the cost to ensure that our peak load is in that slice of pie, is in that pie. Our slice is in that pie at every minute of every day, is the capacity charge.
And we pay that to the federal government?
We pay it through PJM. Every operator in PJM pays the same, whatever that rate is. And it has grown, obviously, exponentially over the last 12
Through the
months.
chair, PJM is a federal agency, or no?
They are created by the federal agency and regulated by the federal agency, but it is, it's
Through the chair, it's essentially a wholesale market, a heavily regulated wholesale market. So they're responsible for making sure, in this case, that the capacity for each load, each customer in their service territory is going
Okay.
to have energy during an emergency. That's the capacity.
Through the
part.
chair, any of these skyrocketing costs associated with new demands on the grid from these types of data farms and AI uses?
Chairman and Councilman, yes.
Fascinating. So I would ask my colleagues to consider this too when different departments come to us saying we want to lean heavily into AI. This is a cost that gets passed down to residents when government decides to make. And I understand that we're in a tough spot, and I don't want to run up against my time. How much do I have? A minute. I know that we're in a tough spot because we always run into this argument where they say, well, if we want to be competitive, we've got to adopt the new technology because other people are going to adopt the new technology, and then they'll have advantages that we won't have. And then we have to say, yeah, but if those advantages come at a steep cost to our residents and they end up causing the cost of power to go up precipitously, what are we really accomplishing other than keeping up with the Joneses where it's a race to the bottom and everybody just ends up poorer? It's a really tough situation to be in, and I don't envy us because we do have to sort of like answer some of these questions here in the next couple of years about how far down this road we want municipal government to go and at what cost we're willing to pass on to the residents. So I'll get off my soapbox. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate all the work that you do for the residents, and I'm looking forward to finding out about that regional. By the way, if I didn't say specifically through the chair, can I get the geographical location of these minor and major outages by zip code or by ward or by whatever substations, whatever you track it by?
Chairman of the Councilman, yes.
Thank you.
All right, and thank you, Councilman Harsh. I think the easiest way to do capacity charge or to explain it was the blackout, right? When the blackout went down, PJM, they couldn't provide, that's just like a guarantee that PJM is that what we need at our peak capacity is available to us, correct?
Correct, Chairman. The blackout is a good idea of what PJM is because
Right.
the PJM territory went out. But when Texas was hit with the weird snowstorms and ice a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, maybe, a lot of those entities had not had their slice of the pie, right? So there were outages across the West Coast, Midwest. So it's a hard concept to understand, but if I think about a pie and our slice of it, we have to pay it for our peak load every minute of every day,
And if we don't pay it, then what? We don't,
subject to not getting it.
exactly. Whoops, stop.
Sorry, I'll stop talking.
Your time's up. Councilwoman Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Regarding the outages, what determines the difference between, through the chair, a minor outage and a major outage?
Commissioner?
Through the chair, a major outage is essentially when an entire feeder, a circuit, primary distribution circuit from the substation trips offline. So that can take out anywhere from approximately 200 to 800 customers. A minor outage is something like we get a call from an individual customer that there are flickering lights or that their house lost power.
Okay, and through the chair, on your presentation, you stated that 92% of major outages were repaired within 8 hours. Of the 8% that were not repaired within 8 hours, what's the average repair time for those? Do you have, an estimate of how many outages last for days or even, as long as a week?
I think we'll have to get you those details. I don't think out to a week. The one exception since I've been here is when we had the tornado hit. So that's the kind of, like, if we just literally can't get to all of them, but even then, I think we restored the vast majority within 3 days, and that was enormously widespread.
Yeah, thank you for that. Through the chair, I also lost power during the tornado, and I have the other power provider, and my power was out for over a week. So 3 days would have been wonderful for my family and I. Through the chair, I also, my colleagues addressed several of the questions I had about the 3 line items on page 325 with the purchase power transmission costs, and capacity charges. So I was wondering, does CPP create any of its own power, or is 100% of the power that CPP transmits, is it all purchased from PJM?
Director?
Chairman, to the council members, so we do not produce power in our footprint. We do own generation facilities, but we have to transmit it here, which is how you get into the transmission and capacity.
So what are the generation, through the chair, what are the generation facilities?
So we have a number of hydroelectric plants on the Ohio River. We have natural gas. So throughout our participation with AMP, we are a member of AMP, whose muni electrics across 3 states, I think 120 municipal electrics, participate through AMP, and our collective buying power own these generation assets, including a lot of our renewable. I mean, 25% of our power is renewable, clean power, which nobody else can really say in the state, that we're very proud of. And our ownership stake in those generation assets, but they're not local. So we have to still get the power here, which means we have to pay PJM.
Okay, and through the chair, as part of the investment in infrastructure, can CPP invest in creating additional power sources such as solar and other renewable?
Director?
Chairman, to the council member, that is certainly our goal, a very immediate goal. And council, and unfortunately, it was late last year, did give us the authority to issue an RFP for site location and feasibility of a renewable generation facility in the city of Cleveland that our customers would own. And we are close to finalizing that RFP and getting it on the street for a consultant to aid in that feasibility and site selection process. Certainly, when we get the RFP on the street, we will share it with council and encourage for all of your networks and things to help us get a good local firm with expertise in the field to assist us in that endeavor. But we know it's council's priority. We certainly know it's Mayor Bibb's priority and our customers' priority. So all that being said, it is equally our priority.
Thank you. And through the chair, is the budget, does this budget reflect enough money being invested into that technology?
Director?
Chairman, to the council members, so yeah, it's the most we've ever had for local power generation, but that is so dependent on the market, and those prices fluctuate really daily as to the true cost of local ownership, but we're excited about the opportunities presented in this budget.
Okay, thank you. And my final question through the chair, what else can council do to help support you in achieving that goal?
Director?
Chairman, to the council member, I mean, council has been tremendously supportive of CPP, as has the administration, which has been really great. A couple of years ago, when we did have the first rate increase in a long time, council was supportive. So that continued support, and as we get the RFP on the street, again, sharing it with your networks would be appreciated.
Thank you. Sorry, I have another question. If we're able to add, additional customers to CPP, would that also help achieve this goal?
Chairman of the council member, always.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilwoman Hudson. Councilman Slife.
Thank you, and through the chair, I've received 0 complaints about CPP reliability from my residents, so I want to congratulate you on that. I liked the slide that showed the age breakdown of the workforce. I think it'd be interesting to see that across the city. We've heard that we have our average worker age is a little higher, and I think that's speaking to our ability to attract new workers in and show their percentage of the workforce that speaks to your success, and I think the apprenticeship program, so credit where credit's due. My question is, the expenditures exceed revenues by about 8.8 $8 million, and most of that's tied up in the increase in capital. So can you speak to, my assumption would be that's coming from reserves, and that we're able to do that. That is not a irresponsible budgetary decision, just worth asking since this is an enterprise fund and our goal is to, typically to break even.
Guarantee you it is not an irresponsible budget decision, as it stresses me out immensely. As the director spoke earlier, we received a rebate in 2025. So that rebate is to go towards renewable power generation in the future. So as you can see in 2025, original budget for capital was $7 million. We actually put in at $15 million. And then in 2026, it is elevated to put the remaining amount of the rebate into the project for the renewable resource.
Okay. Thank you, and I apologize for asking the question, Director. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilman Polensek wants to go back on real quick.
Just briefly. Mr. Chairman, to the director, to the commissioner, I'm looking at some of the texts I'm receiving pertaining to Clean Public Power. With regard to delinquent bills, explain the payment process. I'm getting emails saying that there is no process where you can go on a payment plan with CPP. Explain that.
Chairman, to the council member, I apologize. So as you'll recall, I mean, we had 2 months of a
Right.
of a moratorium.
Yes.
So there is certainly opportunities to go on a payment plan without interest or penalty. The problems that we often see are when we don't get a response from those delinquency notices or a shut-off notice,
Okay.
and then power is actually shut. Then to restore power, we do require some type of payment because we gave every opportunity we could to maintain service. The last thing we want to do is cut and then keep cutting. So there are very flexible, reasonable payment arrangements available to any customer who faces arrearage. But once power is cut, we do require a 50% of that outstanding balance be paid before restoration of service.
Okay, so for the viewing public, so Mr. Chairman, if I owe a $500 electric bill and I don't respond and my power is shut off, before it's going to get put back on, I got to come up with $250.
That's correct, Chairman of the Council.
Okay. And I understand it's because we're not First Energy. We're supported by our local customers. So if people don't pay, it creates a burden for everyone who is attempting to pay it. Because again, our customer base pales in comparison to First Energy. So I'm very much aware, but I just want to make it clear. So there is a payment plan. You can, okay, thank you.
Just have to
Mr. Chairman.
call, Chairman. Please
Right,
encourage
yeah,
anyone in
and
arrearage.
That would be the encouragement. I mean,
Yeah.
if you don't reach out, we can't help, right?
Correct.
So you got to reach out, and hundreds of times people have reached out to me, and we've worked with CPP, and we've been able to come up with
And Mr.
something for the residents.
And Mr. Chairman, I say that to all, whether it be water or sewer, or
Yes.
make an effort to put something down, make some
Sewer
effort
district,
to pay
yes. something.
And I think we got to continue to get that message across. Thank
Yeah, and the Department of Public Utilities for the city of Cleveland is not in the business of turning people off.
Right.
Right? We really want to help anybody who's reached those financial burdens, but we can't do so if you don't reach out. Councilman Joe Jones.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, to my colleagues and to the director. I just want to start out because you always give the response that's due the response and not overstate things that don't need to be overstated. But in this particular instance, as relates to service from the director, I think that our director has been very good in communications, responding back to my needs in my neighborhood. And I really appreciate, Director, the work that you do for our citizens, and your response is really great. So I just want to put that in play. So if I never told you you did something, one of the things that is important to a person like me is making sure that I provide services to my citizens quickly. And you have met that bill time and time again over these 4 years. One of the things, Mr. Chairman, that we've talked about over the years that's really important to me, I really haven't had a real response since returning to Cleveland City Council in 2018, was how to expand, and we had a lot of conversations about that over this table. A lot of it was shut down because of legal situations. But as we looked at our numbers back in those days, one of the things that was obvious to me is that at some point we're going to get to a place where we're going to run out of money. We're just, with the way you have increases over time, and then the money was still stable, and we hadn't had an increase over that period. But we did have enough, Mr. Chairman, I thought that we could, cut a new path, a new direction. I'm a council member who don't just believe in staying in territorial locations. I believe in expansion. We are a democratic city. We have a utility. We made investments in that over the years. When those investments was made under Mike White, a number of colleagues who are sitting at the table were not here. And the ideal and the goal at that time was, how do we grow and how fast can we grow? So at that space and time, I'm quite sure that we got a great chairman here. I'm quite sure we've had different discussions on that. But where are we at in terms of our abilities and capacity to move past our self-imposed boundaries?
Director, would you like to explain this again?
Yes, thank you, Chairman, to the council member, and thank you for your continued support for Cleveland Public Power and Public Utilities. Our current objective is to expand our customer base within our existing footprint, right? Because the expansion of the footprint is tremendously expensive. And without the customer base to support it, the goal needs to justify the investment. So what we're doing now is focusing on our level of service, our response times, how we do what we do every day, along with the expansion of our renewable resources. I think that is attractive to today's customer, and that's what we're going to continue to focus on, to expand our customer base in our existing footprint. And then we did have a conversation earlier, and yesterday I know an engaged conversation about the airport. That is something that we are obviously very interested in. But we're at the beginning stages of those conversations and look forward to, once we have something tangible, to bring it to council for exploration and explanation.
Mr. Chairman, I know you just boilerplate process in some of these responses. So let me just say this, Mr. Chairman. I would like to have an opportunity to talk to you direct or offline, maybe have a real presentation to really do a deeper dive into the numbers, where we are, and see what projections that are being projected within the next quarter, as well as in the next, you should be able to have that information.
Yes.
And various different accounting numbers, so they can really look at this a little bit more deeper. Before, when I sat at the table, I figured, okay, I'm just going to ask these questions and really don't know. But when you get these kinds of questions and from people who live in your neighborhood and you can't answer them, it's best for me to just do a better, deeper dive to really fundamentally understand the words behind the presentation given just now. So with that being said, it'd be good to grab that and understand it. The next piece is the Mayor Jackson. We sat here at this council and we passed off on $122 million in new street upgrades, lights, throughout the entire city of Cleveland. At that time, we were so, Mr. Chairman, to the director, that these lights were smart lights, that you could control these lights from a central location in terms of how much light you wanted to cast out, and as well as, and if you could explain that, as well as if those lights go out, it would send some kind of signal back to let you know that it was out, so you can create a work order. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Director?
Thank you, Chairman, to the council member. Yes, CPP has, in the last 5 years, positively impacted every single neighborhood in the city of Cleveland with the successful transition from high-pressure sodium to LED streetlights. In those LED streetlights are smart photo cells that that we do have the ability to control the amount of light coming from them. And also, we're continuing to tweak the software associated with the smart photo cells called Bright City. Our objective is to know those streetlights are out before our customer calls you. We have made some real advancement in that, but I know I've talked to council a lot about our 480 volt smart photo cell and the struggles that we've had with that over the last 4 years. I believe we are at the right point in the technology, and with a couple of vendors' help, we are transitioning the rest of those 5,000 LED streetlights with the smart photo cell. And with that, kind of completing the circuit, for lack of a better word, we will have the Bright City platform hopefully fully up and running and ready to share publicly, obviously, with council and with our customers.
And then, Mr. Chairman, thank you. The problem that I'm having, Mr. Chairman, to the directors, oftentimes I call Margaret Jackson because she does a good job for me. I like the fact that when I give her a call, it doesn't matter what time I give her a call, she always responds 24 hours, 7 days out of a week. So I gotta, say thank you to Margaret Jackson for just being on top of it and taking care of business. One of the things that I often call her about is the fact that these streetlights are off. And I get these constituent complaints, and I've asked a number of times when you had another gentleman who was there, why does this keep happening? Why aren't you guys just coming out there? And it's a situation, Mr. Chairman, where it's not like if it was out for a day or two, but we're talking about a light being out for months, and then, that's an issue. So, I mean, how does that happen in our system that we have right now?
Director.
Chairman to the council member, until the Bright City platform is accurate and can be trusted for an outage, we're going to still rely on the complaint system, unfortunately. If this were one streetlight at the corner of X and Y, then the Bright City platform would show it as not having power, but there would be 400 other ones giving a false negative or giving us bad information. So please keep calling. Margaret is the best. You can also call any one of us, and hopefully we'll be as responsive as Margaret Jackson.
And then, Mr.
That's our
Chairman,
goal.
and then, looking over here at the budget book, if we
Yes.
could.
Sure.
Over here on page 325, where it says contractual services, professional services, can we get a breakdown of who that is and what's that spent for?
Of both professional and other contractual? Yes. Chairman of the council member, I could give you my version, or I could give it to you in writing.
If you could
your
give it to me in
preference.
writing, it would be great.
That would be great.
And
Thank
then
you.
also in writing, Mr. Chairman, if request for information as well on page 327 where it says charges for services. If you could get a breakdown as you are anticipating what that $247 million is going to be spent on in terms of charges for service. If you could get me also a breakdown of that as well in writing.
Thank you.
And then lastly, Mr. Chairman, I'm a customer, and I got to say, I've had problems with Cleveland Public Power when the lights went out, but your people were right on point, and I don't know if it's just because I was a councilman or not, and I knew the right people to call, but at the end of the day, all of the citizens of the First Ward appreciate those who are citizens in the neighborhood, appreciate Cleveland Public Power and the service you provide. There's times when we've seen outages happen, and I know right across the street from me is First Energy. And so when they go out, we're still on, and they went out a lot more than we have. But whenever we went out, the response has been absolutely impeccable. So I just want to say, keep up the great work, Director. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield my rest of my time.
Thank you. Councilman Austin Davis.
Thank you, Chair. Through the chair to the Director and Commissioner, thank you so much for being here today. Based on the map on a couple slides ago, it looks like the fight in 7th, Ward 7, has the second highest number of CPP customers in the city after my esteemed colleague in Ward 10. So we're just, this is an essential part of our lives. It's something we're very proud of. It represents, the best of what a city can be and what government can accomplish. Really delighted to be able to talk about ways to help your work and make it better for everyone. Let me just say, the big power outage last month, no one liked it. I'm on First Energy. I'm working on switching. Commissioner, we talked about this, and they did call me back when I called last week, so big success. But the competitor to CPP also has outages, and I want to make sure people always recognize that all of the negativity about, Cleveland services or what have you, it's just the fact of the world. I didn't have power for 2 days, just about, with First Energy, and that's okay. I'm switching. But it's situations like last month that make me so excited to see $12 million in infrastructure investments. I mean, that's a big capital improvement plan project here in the city. An ounce of prevention is always going to be worth a pound of cure, and being able to make sure that these outages don't happen in the first place, that we're not spending money on materials and overtime and et cetera to make sure things get back on. I mean, that's going to save us. I have to assume it's going to save us money in the long term. So, I mean, let me just ask, is that on your mind too, that the more we invest now, the less we have to spend later? Is that the attitude?
Chairman of the council member, yes, absolutely. And Commissioner could speak to local generation and the direct benefit to our customer if owning a solar generation.
Sorry. So through the chair, that investment I think will save us in the long run in two ways. One is, as the director mentioned, some of that technology will shrink the size of the outage and help guide us directly there. That means we're spending less time in the field inspecting, troubleshooting, that kind of thing. So if we can respond, fix it immediately, customers happier, we're spending less time looking. So that can definitely help us save. The other is when we're talking about some of the local generation, renewables, and battery storage, that can help us control costs in the long run, help keep it levelized, but also, especially for these relatively crazy spikes in capacity charges, because it's local, any of those electrons that are generated here, we're not paying capacity charges on. So very much the goal in the long run is that we are avoiding those market charges by having local energy.
Through the chair to the commissioner, thank you for clarifying that we don't pay capacity charges on energy that we generate ourselves. I am also learning a lot about the financing mechanisms behind power generation, so this is an incredibly helpful detail. I have a few small questions, then maybe a couple bigger ones. So there was a sliver on the map, on the coverage map, that hit Bracknell. Did we cover all of Bracknell or just that sliver?
Director?
Okay, I don't know. I
Chairman
Googled
of the council member, just this sliver.
through the chair, I Googled, does Bracknell have CPP? And the answer was yes, and AI generation, as we know, is not accurate and a high energy user, so can't trust it. I was just curious, through the chair, does the steel mill here in town, is that on CPP? Again, just out of curiosity.
Chairman of the council member, they're not, unfortunately.
Through the chair, thank you. They're not in my ward, but they're next door, and we'd love for them to continue their great corporate responsibility efforts in our community by switching to CPP soon.
Would be great.
You do have around 70 vacancies. I understand we have good paying jobs, good union jobs. My sister's an electrical engineer and in the union, a different union, but these are great jobs. And I'm glad to see that we are investing in our residents and our people across the board to make sure that they can contribute to keeping the lights on and essential activity in the city. What else can we do to improve the hiring rate in the city? 30% vacancies is a lot. I'm coming with an agenda that potentially that we may need to look at some of the structures around the way we hire. Civil service reform always comes up. We have items in our charter that are 100 years old that we have to abide by in order to hire. The process is tough in the city. Director, you and I have had conversations distantly in the past on this concept, but any thoughts on ways that, as a council, we can help the process along?
So, Chairman, to the council member, and EC Graham could certainly talk about this for weeks. I mean, we do participate in every resource fair, every employment fair. We are very active in the schools. We are very active in the communities by our public outreach teams. And at every one, we talk about our opportunities. And I think you heard from HR and civil service, everything that we do comes up through, right? It is a centralized resource of ours, and we work closely with them every single day to get these positions posted and advertised. You're going to see it at public utilities, right? We have every level of employee that you can think of by way of skill and experience and education, and there's vacancies throughout. So it's a constant struggle of ours. in the utility industry or in public employment. But we do the best we can with what we can. Our union partners are obviously critical to us, to our success. The more that they can bring in, the more members they have, and we love it when they do. So it's going to be a common theme today for our budget is the vacancies and the turnover. I mean, we have people who seek other opportunities, and God bless them. I mean, I have no pain about that. We bring on as many as we can. So you're going to see that common theme today through at least the operating divisions. I mean, WPC is probably the best right now, but in admin, fiscal, CPP, water, you're going to see a lot of vacancies that we work hard to fill. And if you know anybody or see anybody, then send them to civil service. Get them on a list, and we'll hire them.
Through the chair, of course. I always try to get people to work here at the city when I can. My healthcare couldn't be better. But I'll just say through the chair and to the entire body here, if there's red tape, bureaucracy, hoops that you're jumping through that don't feel like it's adding to the ultimate goal of getting people in the door to do the work, let us know. This is an essential priority for me.
No, I think through the chairman of the council member, I think that you heard a lot about it was some antiquated titles and things over the conversations you've had over the last 2 weeks. And Danielle, like I said, anytime you want to really talk about it,
Okay.
EC and I are available to give you the nuts and bolts.
Grateful for that. Through the chair, my very last question then is one of the biggest issues in my community, of course, reliability, but people are pretty proud of their public power entity. It's burying power lines. It's both the visibility of the power lines and then other concerns about reliability, the increased extreme weather we're experiencing makes these waving lines in the air a little nerve-wracking. And of course, it's the trees. We heard from the Commissioner for Urban Forestry that our tree canopy will always be secondary to the requirements to maintain a safe distance around our power lines, and that makes a lot of sense. We can't have urban fires in our urban forest, but ultimately we need to find ways to make sure that these two things can coexist without attacking each other. And I'll bring up, I think, on the Near West Side, folks are very interested in creative financing mechanisms. They see a property valuation increase to their home values if we can improve the aesthetics and the long-term viability of their trees and their front yards. Like there's something here, and so one of the things I'll just say this for the table, like this is a increasing priority for me to find ways to bury our power lines. And one of my main questions is I still don't have a great sense of the cost per linear foot, if it's $20 or $100. I would love to explore ways to pilot small segments of the city we can discuss the interesting ways to fund these kind of projects, but I guess I gotta keep asking if there's a way that we could start to think through really what the next steps would be, costs, contractors, et cetera. To the commissioner, the director, have you explored burying power lines more?
Director?
Chairman, to the council member, over the years, certainly conversations have come up. Obviously, our customers couldn't pay for a customer burying the power line, so once you do talk about costs, and that would be the elective of that customer or that street of customers. In terms of reliability, there's a lot of different ways to look at that. When you put tens of thousands of tons of salt onto streets and it melts, it goes into those ducts and immediately corrodes. And then when there is an outage, unfortunately, like we see downtown in some of our streetlights on a circuit, it takes you forever. It takes much longer time to identify and remediate. So we can talk about any of those things, but number one is, as an enterprise fund, every decision we make is for all of our customers, and that's our top priority.
Through the chair, that makes, of course, this is a system and not just a couple blocks. I do have a couple blocks that would love to explore, even potentially
sure.
out of pocket, finding ways to make this work. They just need a partner on this subject. And I'll leave you with, especially after the power outage last month, just thank you so much to the leadership here and to, of course, the crews that did the work to get our power back on. The quick turnaround, under 8 hours, most folks had their power back on in my community. That was very special. We respect and are grateful for the public service y'all provide. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilman Davis. Councilwoman Gray.
Chair, how you doing this morning? How you doing, team? I just have a few questions. First thing I want to say, thank you, Director, working with all the issues and the problems that I have been emailing you through that storm, the ice storm that we have, and collaborating with Chair Councilman Casey. You guys did an amazing job with the residents in Ward 3. Came through like a champ, and everyone is pleased with the service that you have given them. So I want to say thank you for that first.
Thank you.
And also, I just have a couple questions about the poles that has been replaced throughout the city of Cleveland. Are you replacing the poles for, for them to, well, tell me the reason why you placing the poles, Chair to the Director.
So, Chairman, to the council member, I mean, obviously a pole that's hit, like at 116th and Craven, right? That had to be replaced in order to maintain service. In certain instances, poles will be moved or replaced for a capital improvement project, which would traditionally fall onto the developer to reimburse us or our customer for that work that wasn't emergency in nature. And then certain instances, we have them just deteriorate to the point of replacement.
Okay.
So those would be the main big ticket items on pole replacement.
Okay, all right, because a lot of, Chair to the Director, because a lot of the residents have seen that, and they are pleased with that, but they just didn't understand why, the poles was being replaced, even though the poles, need to be replaced per se. And then secondly, the second question is, I don't have a lot of questions about the, about the service per se, but I just have one question about this particular area between 126 and Holborn and Craven. It's very dark in that area, very dark, and I have been going back and forth with your manager affairs person, and she stated that in that area, that CPP don't actually put up poles per se. So would it be I know First Energy, that's your competitor, but in this particular area, she said that CPP don't put up poles per se, and you just said that you guys do, but there's no poles in that area, to assist, to assist the residents, to see. So have you actually looked into that area to say poles?
Area in mind, was there also like an underpass in that area? And we were looking at some under the protective lighting? No? Okay. So then I believe what was being communicated to you is we don't have existing streetlight poles on that particular street or area, and our basis is we do have lights on First Energy's distribution, the poles, right? And then it's just to our chartered responsibility to illuminate the roadway. And then we would have sent someone out probably to evaluate the illumination of the roadway and determine that either it was sufficient or insufficient, and hopefully that was communicated back to you. If not, I will double check and make sure that we circle back to you on that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll follow up with you.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilwoman. One last question, Director. On page 324, under expenditures, you have a bonus incentive of $400,000. Can you explain that?
Yes. So in the current collective bargaining agreement with Local 39, we did institute in the last contract a incentive, overtime incentive. So should the employees respond X amount of times to X amount of calls for overtime, there was an added bonus in there, and that was reflected. It should normalize now moving out.
All right.
Right.
All right. Seeing no other questions for Cleveland Public Power, thank you, Commissioner Troy, and Director, I believe you guys are sticking around. And, oh, we can't go nowhere. If staff could read in Cleveland Division of Water.
Page 308, Division of Water, Commissioner Alex Margaviches. Page 309, salaries, 2025 unaudited, 64,464,126. 2026 budgeted, 69,576,959. Page 312, total expenditures, 2025 unaudited, 366,175,307. 2026 budgeted, 406,862,541. Page 316, staffing, 2025 actual, 856. 2026 budgeted, 1,219. Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Director, I believe we have a presentation.
That's correct. Chairman, thank you. I will hand it over to the Commissioner and CFO for presentation. I should introduce everyone. Yes. Again, E.C. Graham, Executive Commissioner, Department of Public Utilities, CFO Troy, Commissioner Alex Margaviches, Commissioner of Water, and in the back is Lakita Johnson, who is our Chief of Customer Account Services, certainly Margaret Jackson. Right? All right, Commissioner.
Director, thank you. Mr. Chairman, committee members, thank you for having us today. So here's a brief overview of the Division of Water. An overview first, some information about customers and finances, and then about our operations. So again, the Division of Water, like the other divisions in the Department of Public Utilities, is an enterprise fund, meaning virtually all of our revenue comes from our ratepayers. City and suburban pay the rates to the water system that lets us operate. Our mission, our job, our number one thing that's most important to us is delivering safe, potable water to our customers. That's mission number one, to make sure that we do that, make sure it's safe and with great customer service as we do it. Our key programs, we take in and treat Lake Erie water, pump it and distribute it once it becomes potable. We make improvements and upgrades to the water treatment and delivery systems, and we respond to customer inquiries. So we operate a major public water system. We serve not only the city of Cleveland, but 69 other suburban municipalities in several counties: Cuyahoga, Geauga, Lake Medina, Portage, and Summit, covering over 640 square miles. We're currently the 10th largest water system in the United States. And last year, we sold approximately 40 billion gallons of water. Our major infrastructure, first of all, our water treatment plants. We have our, going west to east, our Crown plant in Westlake, our Garrett Morgan plant near Edgewater, our Baldwin plant near University Circle, and our Nottingham plant in the Collinwood area. Those plants take the water in, treat it to make sure that it's potable, and distribute it. From there, we use pump stations, 17 of them. They push water from the plants into that 640 square mile service territory. We have 4 major pressure zones and 10 individual districts that we serve. We utilize 21 tanks and water towers in our system. These storage tanks store water. They do peak shaving, supplying water at peak times, and get refilled usually at nighttime during periods of high demand, and basically soften and remediate any issues with pressure spikes in the district. And 5,300 miles of water main in our system that deliver the water everywhere it needs to go. Catherine?
The customer base for Cleveland Water, again, as Alex had said, there are 69 suburbs plus the city of Cleveland, which is our retail customers, which means our customers, each house or property is receiving a bill. There are 7 master meter communities, which means we bill the city, and then the city handles billing individual properties. We have 3 emergency backups for anybody that has its own water system that we are providing for emergency services for them. And then all of our customers, we believe we are serving 1.4 million customers across the region, which equates to 442,000 accounts. We are considered the 10th largest water system in the United States. As you can see on the map on the right, we are in colors. So as Alex said, that we had 4 different pressure districts. Cleveland is, and then first high, second high, third high, and so on. The farther away you are from our city and higher, and if you're farther away from our plants, higher elevation and distance determines what rates you are paying for the service. In Cleveland itself, there are about 117,000 customers. Of that, 9,260 are on a discount program. As you can see, we do have the new ward map for you, and the top number is how many accounts are in the ward. The number in parentheses is the number of accounts that are on one of the affordability programs. We have currently 2 affordability programs, Homestead and Affordability, depending on how you may qualify. Oh, sorry, I will change it back to you, Councilman. Good. On the next slide, slide 11, shows the average water bill for a Cleveland resident. The average residential customer uses 0.5 MCFs, which is the equivalent of about 3,700 gallons in the course of a month. The way our bills our rates are set up, there's a fixed fee as well as 2 tiers on the consumption, as you can see below or on the slide. So a total bill is on average $27.16 for the Cleveland Water.
I'm really shocked that that's the average water bill right now.
That is the average water bill. If you have a family of 8, might be a little more. On slide 12, you'll see the water metrics. Cleveland Water is rated by 2 different bond rating agencies, Moody's and S&P. They have an AA1 rating and an AA plus rating. In 2025, Cleveland Water was actually elevated by Moody's, which we are very proud of. Total bonds outstanding for Cleveland Water at the end of 2025 is almost $275 million. OWDA, which is the revolving loan fund with the state, current outstanding is $65 million. So total principal outstanding for the division is $340 million. The total request for Cleveland Water's 2026 budget is $406, almost $407 million. Again, we like to let everybody know where the dollar goes. For every dollar that is paid to Cleveland Water, we are putting 34 cents back into capital. This is our capital and debt payments that we have, because those debt payments are for capital needs. 22 cents is for engineering and maintenance. So the men and women you see repairing the brakes, hydrants, etc., that is what that is. 19 cents for every dollar is plant operations. So as Alex had spoken earlier, we have 4 water plants that we are pushing out water every day. 8 cents goes to customer service, so think of call center, collections, billing, permits, and sales. 7 cents of it goes to finance and HR, which is the indirect costs, claims, and interdepartmental charges. IT is 6 cents, which is cybersecurity, billing services, various computer licenses that are very important to our system to make sure that we are secure at all times. And then 4 cents of the dollar goes to Commissioner's Office, Public Affairs, Security, and Risk Management. Demographics for Cleveland Water is slightly different than CPP, as we saw earlier, but our ethnicity is still 54% Black or African American, 33% are white, Caucasian, 6% are Hispanic or Latino, and 7% is considered the other category. Age in this one is 16% are under the age of 35, 52% are between 35 and 55, and the remaining are over 55. 46.5% are Cleveland residents. With that, I will return it to Alex.
Catherine. Okay, so first, one of our principal operations is our customer account services staff. They have 299 positions. These are employees that provide timely, responsive, and courteous service to meet our customer needs. It includes our meter operations, our billing services, our call center, our credit and collections operation, and our permits and sales operation, which essentially is involved with setting up new service. Here are some metrics in the customer account service section. 99.9% of the bills went out on time, within 4 days of the read. A number we're very proud of. Over 5 million bills, almost 5.4 million bills were issued to water customers in 2025, and 95.3% of our bills were based on an actual read. Before we did AMR in 2013, it was like 83% only that was based on actual reads. And 5.2 million of the bills are based on AMR reads. Next is our plant operations staff, the folks responsible to get us high-quality water and monitor the plants. The staffing includes plant managers, assistant plant managers, and operators that are on duty 24/7 at all of our plants, instrumentation technicians, monitoring and maintaining all the high-tech equipment there. We have chemists to make sure that the water is always potable and safe. 100,000 tests performed a year. We have folks dedicated to water purification and water quality, and we have maintenance staff that maintain those very large campuses. As I mentioned earlier, the single most important thing we do is deliver safe, potable water. And again, for several years in a row now, we have had no treatment technique violations from the Ohio EPA. This is the most important thing we do, and we had 0 violations. We also participate in what's called the Partnership for Safe Water. This is a voluntary program in the water industry. There are federal and state standards that water utilities are required to make, but several years ago, after what happened in Milwaukee, the utility industry decided we can do better than just the minimum requirements. So they came up with a voluntary program with stricter, higher standards in place. And all 4 of our plants participate in this. 3 of our plants are at the 3rd highest rating, the what's called Phase 3 status, and the Crown plant is at the highest possible status, which is Phase 4. We're looking at the other 3 plants, the improvements necessary to get those there as well. Lastly, we have our distribution, maintenance, and engineering staff, 448 positions there to make sure that the water is reliable, basically keeping the distribution system in good shape. There's our dispatch operation out of Harvard, also a 24/7 operation. Our pipe repair crews, additionally 24/7. We have construction trades, electricians, plumbers, carpenters that maintain our facilities and infrastructure, a group of great engineers that help operate the system. We have specialists in hydraulics that diagnose troublesome issues in the distribution system, and supervisory and support staff. I believe that's our presentation.
All right, thank you, Commissioner. Director, this is the only department in the city of Cleveland that affects every single resident in the city of Cleveland every single day. And I just want to relay to the council members how big Cleveland Water is. It's the 10th largest. So you're talking as far west as Olmsted Township, Bay Village, as far east as Portage County, down by Aurora, Russell Township, the lake to the north, and then all the way down to Brunswick Hills. And 5,300 miles. You could actually drive from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to Los Angeles and back and just hit the number of infrastructure miles that Cleveland Water has in pipe infrastructure. So this is a huge organization and entity that the city of Cleveland proudly not only offers the residents of the city of Cleveland, but really all of Northeast Ohio. Getting into the budget, Director, on page 309, water pays for water under utilities. So if you can explain.
So thank you, Chairman, and it is a unique aspect of our budget. There's a very small section of our service area where we rely on other water department. So we buy it, serve it to our customers, but because we don't have the necessary infrastructure, we got to pay for it.
All right.
Very complicated, and happy to give you the details, but
We
there's a
just-
court involved, and it's
Okay, all right.
essentially we buy water for our customers from another water system, and everybody's happy.
Okay. Under contractual services, why the increase in professional services?
To the chairman, this is staff augmentation. As I believe many are aware, the federal government has required all the water departments to remove lead service lines, and so we are bringing in outside help to kind of manage those programs, and that is what that is, an increase for that.
And then let me ask you this, with all the money that was raised for the city of Cleveland for lead abatement, did Cleveland Water get any of that? I know you went out and got your own grants and all that other stuff, but there was a lot of money raised for lead in the city of Cleveland. Did Cleveland Water, was they the recipient of any of that money?
So, Chairman, all our money was specific to lead pipes through the BIL money, and before that through some state money for daycares. But of the other lead available resources, we did not participate. I mean, we're upwards of $100 million on the street currently in lead abatement for our water distribution system, but we're spending it as much as we can get and as fast as we can get it.
Okay, property rental under, on page 310 under expenditures, where does Cleveland Water rent?
So with the AMR system, Chairman, we also have to have transmitters that transmit the data back to the collectors so we can accurately bill. We did expand a couple in 2025, predominantly on the farther west side. So when we affix one of these transmitters onto a building or onto a tower, we got to pay for it. So there was a slight increase in 25.
All right, other contractuals,
Other contractual.
almost 3 million.
So that would include our, the increase, again, we budget for worst case, right? So we budget, this is our hazmat, Chemtron, chemical response is in the other contractual along with our fire extinguishers and all of our safety equipment at the plants. So under other contractual also includes the scanning services that we're participating in through citywide HR, and then the disposal of sludge. So other contractual, again, we budget high, hope to pay low, spend low.
Under materials and supplies, your cement, sand, and gravel,
Yes. So
is that for water? That's for the division of water.
those are the holes we dig.
Okay.
We got to put back in cement, gravel and then cement,
All right,
vice
and then-
versa.
On page 311 under expenditures, can you just explain real quick, computer software maintenance, the increase in that?
Yes, so a lot of the computer software maintenance is on the licensing, but, wait, computer software maintenance? Troy, take that one.
To the chairman, this is for our billing system. So we have a very robust billing system for 442,000 water accounts. It's that, as well as our GIS and we have several licenses for different areas. So our engineers have several programs that they use, as well as the hydraulics area to make sure that our systems are working efficiently.
All right, and then staying in that area, the maintenance utility systems, so what's the difference between your computer software maintenance and then the maintenance of the utility systems?
Maintenance utility systems are our contract assistance predominantly. The big number under maintenance, so that would be the contracts that we have on board for peak break season, also our hydrants and tree lawn restoration. And we also keep prepare for those incidents. I know last year we talked about 9th and Voinovich Park. So we have contracts available to respond to very serious critical incidents in that line item.
All right, and then speaking of your breaks and critical incidents, into your capital outlay, you've got your infrastructure at 42 million and your building betterments at 17. Infrastructure's underground, right? And building betterments is above ground
Point of
repair stuff?
information, Mr. Chairman. I want to follow along. What page are you looking at right now?
311,
Thank
under
you.
capital outlay.
Thank you.
Director, if you can just touch on those?
Yes, so obviously on infrastructure, that would be predominantly below ground or in a plant by way of infrastructure. Building betterments are all of the roof systems, all those things that we come to council for, HVAC, roofs, storage, containment areas at the plants for chemicals. That would be building betterments, windows, doors, those kinds of things, which, as you stated, we're a large system. We have a lot of buildings that we need to maintain, which would fall into the capital side.
And then, and I noticed this in Cleveland Public Power, and I forgot to ask, but why no expenditures, or why does it show no expenditures in 2023 and 24?
Yeah, I believe every year we go through this.
Right.
That is the system that somebody else designed or does, lumps all of our capital into that, and then you request the specifics for what we did last year and are prepared to do this year, and then we give it to you.
Okay. On page 312, I know Councilman Slife hinted or asked this for Cleveland Public Power, but your expenditures to revenues, about 50 million, 40 million difference?
That's correct, Chairman, and to part of how the CFO explained it last time, we also budget for the worst, right? And we hope not to spend it, but we would, if we do exceed the budget capacity, it would eat away at the unencumbered cash balance, but we are still in a very healthy position, but it is something we watch regularly.
All right, and then on page 313, under your staffing levels, under administrative support, 61 for the call center. Do we have enough people in the call center? I know you're budgeting for 61, but we only have 30 there. And I know you're going to tell us that you never have enough, or you can't maybe say it, but we'll tell you 30 is probably not enough for the call center. And does this call center just handle water?
To the chair, in reference to the customer service representative call center, we're happy to report that as of February, we are now down to just 16 vacancies as it relates to this. So again, as the director indicated, we are constantly working with HR, civil service, and particularly within public utilities, the HR area. They're constantly working to do our critical hires. All of our hires are critical, but particularly these that are customer facing as it relates to that. So happy to report that.
And yes,
Yes. Just
That's
water.
just for water,
Yeah,
right?
just for water.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, I'll open it up to questions for my colleagues. Councilman Polensek.
Can you put me on, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, my honorable colleagues, and to the director and the Commissioner Labus.
Labus.
Got to talk in Lithuanian here, okay? The fact of the matter is I've often maintained that I believe we have one of the best water systems in the country. And I think looking at the numbers speak for themselves. I came in this body, Division Water was in dire straits. And the members of council, then under leadership of George Forbes, we had to make some very tough decisions on the division of water, and we made those decisions. And I believe as I look back over these 4 decades that I've been involved with this system, I could see the fact, the initial action that we took and where we are today, because as a result of council action, and the council's never been given enough credit over the years, we do have a state-of-the-art water system, one of the best, again, in the country, in my opinion. But I want to dive in on some issues that I believe are important. I was going to say this under when CPP was up here, but I'm going to say it now again here. If you look at your graph of the number of your employees, CWD employees, you'll notice that the bulk of them are over 55 years of age. The bulk of CPP employees are over 55 years of age. We got a problem coming. We got a problem coming because we have longtime employees that, and this is the same argument I said years ago about the division of police and the previous administration and the previous council leadership would not listen, that we are headed for a real problem unless we can figure out how do we create job opportunities. And when you go look at your staffing levels, you're down considerable numbers. So the question is across the board, how do we establish collectively CPP, Division of Water, WPC, how do we create linkages or apprenticeship programs where, and partner with whoever, whether it be CMSD, which is something in itself dealing with the Cleveland Municipal School District, that disaster, or Tri-C or somebody, we got to figure out how we can create pipelines for employees, future employees, because if not, we're going to continue to be behind the curve on employment opportunities, and we know in this division, again, they're good paying jobs. Good paying jobs, but a lot of our folks are not aware of them or lack the skills to fill the positions. So I'm gonna leave it there, but so I hope at some point we can get into a longer discussion, especially with some of the other committees in council and you, Mr. Chairman, because I know you feel passionately about this as well. So I'm going to state that for the record. The other thing I want to point out, where is your cash balance for the Division of Water? Where does that show up at?
Director? The front of the book, isn't it?
It's on the
Page, like
front of the
30,
book.
38 or something.
What page is it, Mr. Chairman?
Hang on.
Were you talking? I didn't know if you knew.
Oh, it's,
Okay.
Page 42 would be the official certificate of
Okay,
estimated
wait a minute.
resources.
Page 42?
42.
This book is turned, I've been putting a lot of stuff in this book. It's turned into a monster here. Okay. This thing could choke a hippo right here. Okay. 42. What is the dollar amount?
Cleveland Water ended unencumbered cash balance in 2025 of $162 million.
Okay. 162 million cash balance. Okay. Which I commend all of you guys for that. But this takes me into my next line of questioning. And you probably know where I'm coming. Get ready, because I bring it up every year. You guys sitting on $162 million cash balance. We were able to convince, through the chair, the mayor's office of capital projects to allocate and earmark $1 million for Red Brick Street repair, which now they will work with council members. Many of the red brick streets in the city of Cleveland have utility cuts in them that have either failed, have sunken, or have raised. Now, the historical argument you've given me over these years is that, well, the utility cut was done a long time ago, and therefore it's not our responsibility. I'm gonna go through the chair, and the council president's here. I'm adamant that you need to, through an interdepartmental charge, you need to supply at least $1 million to MOCAP so we can address the failed utility cuts in the city on the red brick streets. We have the cash. No one's going to tell me we don't. And I can tell you, if Mike White was sitting here, it would get done. Because we had a Red Brick Street program when he was mayor. And we got away from that. And I could never understand why we got away from it, from one administration, from under the Campbell administration, then through the Jackson administration. And here we are today. So, Mr. Chairman, to my own council president, to the administration, and to the finance director who's here, this is going to be part of my budget reconciliation, that the Division of Water is going to provide to MOCAP in an interdepartmental charge, or however we want to label it, and we can label it however we want, so they can address, not you, but so MOCAP Division of Streets can address the Red Brick Street problem that we have here with the failures. Okay? The other thing I wanted to...
Chairman, if I
Yes.
could respond briefly to
Go ahead.
Councilman, and I know we've had the conversation several times, and
We
it's
had
not...
a conversation when you had hair, okay? So
When I
let's
was
go
in-
back, okay?
And the Division of Water has replaced brick for brick every utility
Okay.
cut, and so has the Department of Public Utilities since I had hair,
Okay.
since I was in high school. So to put that responsibility on today's customer is where we differ in opinions. Yes, $162 million of unencumbered cash
Right.
is our customer's dollar today to maintain the infrastructure
That's
that is
exactly.
required to deliver potable water to 1.4 million people. The Division of Water didn't cut those holes in those streets. So to put that responsibility on today's customer is where we have a differing of opinion. So I'm willing to consider it and talk about it and find a solution, but you know better than I do, who else digs into our streets?
Mr. Chairman, to the director, I know who digs into our streets. But the fact of the matter is, we all know the overwhelming majority of those utility cuts came from was either Division of Water or WPC. We all know that.
And we're replaced brick for brick.
Now
If-
you do. Now you do.
Since I was in 1996.
Okay.
I had just graduated from the Ohio State University.
Good. But prior to
Full
that.
head of hair. Look.
Good. Okay. Okay. But we're going to discuss this
No,
during.
don't believe it.
Listen
Don't
up.
believe
Listen up. We're going to discuss this during reconciliation.
Absolutely.
Okay?
I'm happy to,
We're going to have a
Chairman,
good
and-
discussion.
and again, it's-
reconciliation. It might grow hair on you if
Our
we have
customers
a
just,
okay?
to the chairman of the
Okay.
councilman, I appreciate the conversation and I'm willing to talk about it.
Oh, we
But
will.
just because of a number, you can't put that on our customer
No,
today.
no, don't.
The historic wrongs,
The ones in the city, Mr. Chairman, I'm talking about the utility cuts in the city of Cleveland on the red brick streets.
that can be
We-
attributed
we-
to public utilities.
We need
Agreed.
to have a good, frank, honest discussion. And, you know, we got to quit thinking around this table why we can't do things. We got to start thinking, how can we do things? That's how we have to start thinking going into 2026
Yes,
with
sir.
this administration.
Yes,
How can we get things done?
legally.
Well, that's right. Of course, we always want to do it that way. Mr. Chairman, to the director, again, as it pertains to employment opportunities, on page 316, under meter technicians, that has dropped significantly, the employment there. What, as a result of AMR, what does a meter technician do now?
So through the chairman to the council members, to the council member, so the meter tech division is still all of those that would go out, replace, repair, investigate any connection issues they would out of Harvard under the meter tech meters division. There are multiple layers in that, so where you would see what our budgeted number is, they do progress through as a meter tech into ones and twos with the CBA and the pay as appropriate.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Councilman Palinsik. Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to, start out by, I know that credit, certainly for our department running so well has been due to good management and great people over a space and time. And want to give kudos and shout out, and I know that it has always been the case, to our Commissioner Alex Markov. Can I say that right? Can you say it, please?
Margaviches.
Yes.
Thank you,
So-
Councilman.
So I just, and I remember being here when I had hair on my head, and you were the commissioner back then. And one of the things that's important, and I wish that Cleveland Public Power had the same kind of consistency in terms of its commissioner, maybe we would probably had already expanded all the way across as the water department has. And I know some of the history, and it's really good to have historical memories sitting here at the table like my colleague Mike Polensek, because he can go back and tell you the real reasons why there was no expansion, and that's because of First Energy and all of their lobbying efforts in the city of Cleveland and some real battlefronts that were taking place in the 70s and the 80s, actually, and somehow still continues because they've done a good job in stopping us from doing our expansion. So with that, talking about SWOT analysis for the water department, we wish we could have you here for, another 30-some years. My colleague Mike Polensek talked about that, and I don't want to get too deep into the weeds with it, but it would be nice to see a SWOT analysis and some type of succession plan to continue the stability of our water department. When we look at these numbers, Mr. Chairman, a lot of them are really some big numbers, and it's going to take some time to kind of like go through some of this. So I'm going to make a request of information if that's possible, Mr. Chairman. If we would go to page 310, under expenditures, contractual services, where it says professional services, we'd like to have a breakdown of that 21 million. If we move on down to the line item program promotions, we'd like to have a breakdown of what that, who is contracted out to do that work, as well as when we come down to equipment rental, we'd like to get a breakdown there. Other contractual, we'd like to receive a breakdown of that, what that number is. The same would be for everyone that I will continue to move forward to. Bank service fees, can you explain why our bank service fees are $264,000, in addition to our credit card processing fees right up under that being $4 million?
Director?
Thank you, through the chairman, to the councilman, because we do process customer payments by using those bank credit cards, and we have to pay the fees.
And, Mr. Chairman, is that with a number of banks for bank service fees?
Chairman, to the council member, whatever bank our customer uses.
And what about the credit card processing fees at
Same.
$4 million? So how does that work, the credit card processing fees? Is that for customers?
We pay that on behalf of our customers paying their water bill with a credit card.
I see. So we incur that charge. We don't pass that charge to the customer.
It's baked into our rates.
It's baked in your who?
Not to the individual customer through the council, through the chairman to the councilman, but all of these fees are baked into the rates that we charge all of our customers.
So, Mr. Chairman, on this one here in particular, because it, I really need to really find out what that really means, right? So can you give me a breakdown, Mr. Chairman, of these credit card processing fees? Or we can also have a time as well as we can sit down and look at that.
Yes.
And then the next, and I'll follow up with you after these hearings. Mr. Chairman, on page 310, can we have a salt and de-icer breakdown of that amount of money that has been spent?
Yes.
The same
Chairman
would be
to the
with
councilman.
the line item, Mr. Chairman, on the same page, small equipment. Up under that one would be electrical supplies. We skip to the next column. We look at motor and pumps, a breakdown of that figure. The $3.5 million down at the bottom of cement, sand, and gravel. We'd like to get a breakdown of those expenditures. When it comes to maintenance and contracts, on page 311, a breakdown there of those figures. Computer hardware maintenance. When we go to computer software maintenance, breakdown there.
Councilman, can I just hold that for 1 second? I just want to make sure staff is able to capture all this. Are you guys keeping up? Yes? Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Continuing on page 311, and I'll be a little bit more descriptive. Maintenance utility systems, where it's 32 million, a breakdown of that amount. We moved to interdepartmental service charges on page 311. There's charges from telephone exchange at 2 million. We dropped there to utilities admin at 5 million. We moved right up under that, charges from fiscal control at 6.4 million. We dropped to capital outlay, Mr. Chairman, also on page 311. I would like to also have a breakdown of those numbers in that entire column.
Thank you.
That totals 75 million. Mr. Chairman, moving to page 312, charges for service. We'd like to have a breakdown of what that number is, the 342 million that's estimated to be spent, and where would that likely go to. And then, Mr. Chairman, coming in.
Hey, just clarification on that one, Councilman. Are you talking about you want a breakdown of the revenues?
I want to have, it says charges for service, Mr. Chairman. So
Right,
what are those charges?
That's your water bill.
Pardon?
That's your water bill.
That's on the revenue side through the
Right,
chairman of the
it's-
council.
that's
what we
under
collect
revenues.
from
That's
our
what-
customer.
Right.
We're
I see.
budgeting.
So these are the revenues that
Yeah,
we
it's the
actually
revenue
bring
side.
in.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. And this is a part of that 162 million that we looked at as a surplus on the back and the front page. This would eventually make up that, or is these spent? How are these funds spent?
By the expenditures as listed, you just requested.
Correct.
Yes.
So, Mr. Chairman, just, so that, I'm on the same page, I think that, again, I heard my colleague talk about cold cuts. And, I have a number of, and I'm not sure if this is all, Mr. Chairman, water, but as a council, we need to make people who cut in our streets repair them and pay for it. And so I do have some questions I'd like to offline talk to the director about in my neighborhood. I don't want to get into the minutia of all those little small things, but those little small things means a lot to our customers. And just, to be clear, when we look at, because when George Forbes and that council at that time, they had a mission to expand the water department. And in doing so, Clevelanders got a deal in their water charges and their sewer rates. Has those plans that were put in by that has now completely washed away, Mr. Chairman, to director? I mean, do we get any considerations as the
Chairman of the
home
council,
ground,
yes.
the home
It's
turf?
still the same.
It's still the same?
It's based on the
Can
proximity to
you explain
the
that
source.
to me so I can understand it?
That was in, it's in your book with the slide, the tier system, correct?
Correct.
It's a tier system?
Yeah.
On the map that was in your presentation.
I saw
So
that.
The Cleveland, because of its proximity to the source and the ownership, there is a rate associated with that, and then it goes up by tier as the charges associated with moving the clean,
That's it.
high-quality water to the customer. So it expands outwards, and the rates increase proportionally.
So,
Slide
so what
9.
do we get? Where's it? I see it
Cleveland.
right here. So how does that break down where I can understand it?
It's lower than the other tiers.
I get
Chairman of the
that,
council.
but what is that rate is what I'm asking, Mr.
Oh,
Chairman.
okay. I'll get you the rate schedule. if
Because
that's
see,
okay.
that's the most important thing. We can, flower it up this way, but can you tell me what is that? Because, our citizens right now are paying more money.
It's on the website, and it was
Let me-
as
I
passed by
I
council.
got you. So we'll
Okay.
work on that because that's why we're here to talk about it, right? So the issue, Mr. Chairman, is our citizens are paying a lot of money now for these water bills, and they're complaining about them, quite frankly. So I don't know if we can, it seems like now since we're doing it on a monthly, we were doing it on I think, a quarterly basis. Those rates, it seems like they're paying more now. So I got to kind of understand this rate scale system you have in place, because I remember when George Forbes was the president, and that goes way back in time. Those rates were very favorable for Clevelanders. And the whole point of us expansion and the expansion proposition, Mr. Chairman, historically, and I'm going to go do an even deeper dive here, is to make sure that the rates for people who live in the city of Cleveland was so much favorable that people would probably want to move back to the city of Cleveland because the water rates were so good. So that's something, Mr. Chairman, I think that we should kind of here at this table go back to explore the real intentions of why we expanded and how it helped us. And probably sitting down with the commissioner would give me a better grasp and understanding of that. So I'm going to set up a time where I talk to the commissioner. But I would like to, Mr. Chairman, see a SWOT analysis as well as to talk about where we're going to be, what are our potential threats, our potential expansions, and how we continue to do such an outstanding job in preserving and expanding our water system. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Councilman Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to briefly thank the commissioner for his service to just the whole just running the water department. Every time I call you, you've been very responsive, and I want to also thank the director. I think you're doing a great job with our public utilities. But I just want to ask a question about. I've seen quite a few water breaks here as of late, and they have run for quite some time, and it's created a burden on some areas of the city. Particularly the one I saw on Buckeye and Shaker Boulevard that ran for quite a long time, and it created a tremendous amount of ice and stress for, and I think it's in Councilwoman Gray's ward. But anyway, as I drove through there, and I drove through there several weeks, and it ran for several weeks. But I just wanted to get an explanation. Are we struggling? Are our crews, do we need more people? What is it, Director? Through the chair.
Director.
Chairman, to the council member, yes. So it has been a rough winter. It has been the longest duration of sub-freezing temperatures that we've had in recent history. But still, the break rate is less than last year. The big difference is last year the cold snaps would come with a thaw. The amount of ice this year was unprecedented. So when we do, on average, typically 3 to 5 breaks a day, we got upwards of 15 to 20 breaks a day. So there's really not any number of crews that could effectively respond to that as Cleveland employees. We did have, at the peak is right now, 16 crews in-house, 24 hours a day. We have contract assistants up to 18 crews. And then the commissioner has reallocated resources from the lead contracts, another 7 crews addressing connections only. So it was a unique, rough winter because of the ice. We work closely with the Parks Department, not only in the city of Cleveland, but all of our suburban partners and with the fire departments. And in the city also with Division of Water Pollution Control. Commissioner Lopez's teams were out there cleaning catch basins because it was a tough winter. So that's kind of the explanation as to what we dealt with and are continuing to deal with today. We still have not caught up. We're finally fixing more than are breaking on a daily basis since about Valentine's Day. But the unique winter that this has been was the consistent freeze and never the true thaw to clear those gutter lines. The gutter lines, had those gutter lines been clear, taking that water, not that we like it, but historically it's going into a catch basin and it doesn't affect anybody else, the traveling public or our customer. That was especially hard this year. So we prioritize each break based on a number of criteria, but the amount of damage that it's causing, the amount of customers affected, the uniqueness of the break, and then we prioritize. And we have to go and get those that are causing either the most damage or the most impact on our existing customers. We have to pick those first and get those knocked out of the way as we can then progress through the other breaks. It's hard work. They work really, really hard. I commend every single one of them and thank them for their service because I don't want to get wet when it's 10 below zero, and I certainly don't want to get in a hole that's wet. So it's tough work. We did the best that we could and continue to today. So yeah, that was a hard one on Buckeye because of its visibility and just, I don't know how much salt they put on that, but we took a lot of Director Laird's salt this year, but that was the nature of the winter that we had and continue to have.
Okay, thank you for that information, Director. Another question I want to ask you is that over the years we've talked about the age of our underground infrastructure underground, our pipes and our water mains. Can you comment on our progress in upgrading our old underground pipes in our infrastructure?
So this budget does, through the councilman, through the chairman to the councilman, continue to reflect at least $15 million of City of Cleveland water mains, and then between 12 and 16 million in our suburban partners of main replacements, again, based on criteria established for a long time and shared with all of our partners and openly with council. We'll continue to make those investments on top of those sections that we fix that are just not fixing a break, we're a section of pipe. So what is the perfect amount? We thought last year with all the breaks we had that we were gonna have a better winter, and then it froze for over a month with really crazy cold temperatures. So as we continue to address these infrastructure issues, we use our customers' dollar as wisely as we can to mix both fix the things that are broken and replace the things that are not meeting our customers' expectations. And we'll continue down that path with this budget should council approve it.
Okay, thank you, Director. Through the chair. So the $15 million that you just spoke of, is that have we increased that, or is it been steady over the last several years, or has it been an increase? Can you comment on that, Director?
So, Chairman, to the council members, so those are the letters that you would get in every January about the 5-year main replacement plan. You as council, sorry to lump you in, but and it fluctuates between. We have consistently been over 10 million, but now as we have a couple of projects that have lagged, this is a big year in 26. And then in the suburbs, we are trying to incrementally increase it as through the Suburban Council of Governance, just to show it is over $200 million since the commissioner was around when they started that program, has been invested in our suburban partners. So we have incrementally tried to increase that because more communities are participating through our water, the water service agreements. So we're raising it as we can, but we still have to be cognizant of our customer's dollar. Chairman, to the councilman.
All right, okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through the chair to the director, on page 311, under claims, refunds, and maintenance, there's a line item for indirect cost. It's steady year after year, $5,080,000. Can you explain what that is?
So that the indirect costs are determined by Director Barrett and his friends at OBM. So it is a percentage of our total budget, and it has remained consistent. That hasn't changed. So those are the costs that we pay as an enterprise fund to those general funds that support our operation.
Okay, thank you. And then under capital outlay, over the years, there's an amount listed, transfer to water capital projects. It's kind of fluctuated through the years, and then there isn't an amount listed for this year. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, through the chairman to the councilwoman, the way the system works is that we show what we're planning on spending based on the different categories in order to go into our capital system, though it shows transfer to water capital. So if you were to have looked at our budget book in 23, 24, and 25, you would have seen, obviously you see 25 now, but you would have seen the intended breakout. We do intend to provide council, as they've requested in years past, the breakdown of where we actually budgetarily spent those dollars in those prior years.
Okay, so there will be an amount, we just don't know what it is yet?
Yeah, so we definitely spent in 2023 $75 million towards capital. The book does not show you the breakdown. Like, I know in infrastructure, we've spent $33.6 million in 2023. In 2024, we spent $26.9 million. And in 2025, we spent $26.6 million. We have that information for you guys that we are actually going to provide to you. So it's just a factor of this book that they cannot provide it in this order.
Okay, thank you. And through the chair to the director, we heard about the apprenticeship program for CPP. Is there a similar apprenticeship program for the Department of Water?
Through the chair to the councilwoman, yes, there is. There is a similar program, and we actively recruit in terms of that particular program. For actually, all of our divisions have an apprenticeship program.
Thank you. And that's for skilled, through the chair, that's for skilled labor, like plumbers and positions like that.
Through the chair to the councilwoman, it would be specific to the area. So with CPP, as the commissioner talked about, the line workers, and then with Cleveland Water, it would be the water pipe repair persons, and then with WPC, it would be our sewer service workers.
Okay. Thank you. And then through the chair, also to the director, are there any, we heard about the threats, or the amount that data centers and AI has caused our electric rates to go up. Are there any threats to our clean water source, which is the lake, related to data centers?
Director?
Chairman of the council member, not that I can relate directly to data centers. I mean, there's always things in, first of all, we're tremendously lucky with our source water. I mean, that other regions of our country, most regions of the United States are dealing with, so tremendously lucky with the quality of our source water. Not necessarily with data centers. We don't treat wastewater, so the sewer district kind of sees different things coming out of as industry evolves and different things evolve. The treatment of water before they put it next to our greatest natural resource is something that I know we work closely with the sewer district to just kind of evaluate and participate and support. But we don't see any threats on the water side from data centers or evolving technologies. But we put a tremendous amount of resources into monitoring the lake and the water quality because that is always a primary concern of what we do and how we do it so well.
Do you, through the chair, do you foresee any issues related to that in the future? And specifically, I'm thinking about, the difference in the regulatory bodies coming out of the federal government.
We have not from the water side. A big industry conversation is the PFAS, and that's what everybody's kind of talking about in their source water, and that goes back to my point about how lucky we are to have such a high quality source water. But we don't see any of those threats evolving that I can put my finger on right now.
Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Just real quick on the map right there, what's the white area? Do you know what
Berea.
That's Berea? Okay. And then just regarding the staffing, the staffing age that was brought up, hopefully our employees are as dedicated to water as Polensek is to council, because we'll still get 25 or 30 more years out of them. We're going to move on to water pollution control.
Page 317, Water Pollution Control, Interim Commissioner Ryan Lopez. Page 318, Salaries, 2025 unaudited, $8,509,659. 2026 budgeted, $9,818,099. Page 320, Total Expenditures, 2025 unaudited, $38,777,255. 2026 budgeted, $50,514,746. And page 322, Staffing, 2025 actual, 138. 2026 budgeted, 177, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And people ask, what's the difference between water and water pollution control? Clean and dirty, right? That's how we describe it. So, Director, if you want to go over, water pollution control.
I will hand it over to Commissioner Lopez and CFO Troy for the presentation. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman and committee. Thank you for having us this morning. So this morning we're going to have a little overview. Then Catherine will handle our customers and financial information, and then I will close us out with operations. Water pollution control is also a major enterprise fund of the city, operating on enterprise funds, and those funds are used to account for operations that function in a manner similar to private business enterprises and financed primarily by user fees to the general public. Our mission at WPC Water Pollution Control is to lead the stormwater and wastewater industry by protecting the health and safety of Cleveland's residents. Some of our key programs are stormwater management, upgrade and improve the sewer and stormwater delivery systems, respond to customer inquiries, apprentice program, and educational trailer. WPC's responsibility is for managing the sanitary sewage and stormwater collection systems within the city of Cleveland. We have regulatory authority for matters impacting natural waterways in the city of Cleveland. We differ from regional sewer, which has authority created by a court order and is responsible for sewage treatment and disposal in Cleveland. WPC's current responsibility ends 1 foot inside the curb. Our infrastructure. Currently, we have 1,444 miles of sewer lines, which, if you put that all together, you would go from here to Miami. So that just shows you, Miami, Florida, that is. That would show you the kind of amount of infrastructure that we deal with, although we don't leave the city limits of Cleveland. We have 11 pump stations. We have over 43,500 catch basins. We have 283,000 house connection lateral sewers. We have 2 stormwater detention basins, and we have 54 outfalls. Here's a map of, we give this out when we do our events with our event staff. They pass them out to all the customers to show the jurisdiction of who we are as water pollution control, and then it shows the jurisdiction of the customer responsibility, which starts at the curb to the property.
Mr. Chairman, can you put me down?
Thanks, Ryan. All right, so the WPC customer base is the same as water in the city of Cleveland, so this map should look identical to everybody except for we do it in green, which is WPC's favorite color. The average WPC bill, again, is 0.5 MCFs, so they have a consumption charge and a fixed charge, which is in their ordinance that was approved by council in 2024. The average bill is $20.21. The dollar bill, for every dollar that a WPC customer pays, goes into this breakdown. 45 cents of it goes into capital, which is capital in the ground, as well as debt payments for capital that had happened in years past. Maintenance is, which is field, is the maintenance men and women that are on the street, which is at 29 cents. 12 cents is administrative service, which is the commissioner's office, the call center, house connection inspectors, and radio dispatch. Finance is 9 cents for every dollar, which is interdepartmental costs, indirect costs, and then claims. And then WPC pays 5 cents for every dollar to Cleveland Water, because WPC is billed on the Cleveland Water bill, so it is their portion of the bill is 5 cents for every dollar that goes along the way. Financial metrics for WPC, they are also rated by 2 of the bonding agencies. So they are rated by Moody's as well as S&P. They are in very good standing for their size and relatively young in the market, because they have now issued 2 various bonds starting in 2016 and then again in 2024. The total principal outstanding is $29.1 million, and then they have OWDA debt, which again is the state revolving loan fund of $40.5 million, and that is in part because in December of 2025, WPC refinanced their 2016 bonds, and they were able to, when they refunded them with the state, They have a new interest rate of 3.2%, and they saved $4.4 million of interest over the next 20 years, which will be saving our WPC customers over that time. The WPC employees breakdown as seen on slide 14. You can see 69% are Black or African American, 24% is white Caucasian, 3.5% is Hispanic or Latino, and 3.5% is considered other. Our age groups are 24% are under the age of 35, 51% are between the ages of 35 and 55, and 25% are over the age of 55. WPC is the winner today at 62.1% of Cleveland residents are part of their employees. Back to Ryan.
Okay. Thank you for being the winner. Currently, WPC has 7 employees in the apprentice program. It's a 24-month training program. It's on-the-job training as well as classroom training, final job placement, opportunity to be sewer service workers will close out after their 2 years. That's between the ages of 18 and 21. And so we predominantly pull from the CMSD as well, or local schools, and we have gone beyond as needed when we couldn't find the people here in our city.
It's on the tablet.
Our customer service and administration staff, we had 38 employees responsible for addressing customer requests, corresponding work orders, and that's our customer service representative, our dispatch, our house connection inspectors, and other administrative personnel, including our MAC council complaint person. We also have 112 employees that are part of our special equipment and construction staff, sewer workers, sewer maintenance unit leaders, unit leader operators, bricklayers, construction equipment operators, and again, apprentices in there. We have supervisors, superintendent, as well as assistant administrators. Our engineering staff, we have 13 employees responsible for design of city sewer infrastructure. Our engineering staff are constantly evaluating the infrastructure and doing what they need to do to see what are our problematic areas throughout the city. We have 6 employees responsible for maintaining and repairing the city's 11 wastewater pump stations, 1 electrician, 4 industrial maintenance technicians, along with 1 machinist unit leader. Our metrics for 2025 for water in the basement calls during work hours were 49.26. Total calls out during work hours was 3,787. Response time to water in the basements during off hours was 47.47, and the total call-outs were 193 during off hours. Our inspected catch basins this year were 22,491, and 6.9 days to complete a house connection repair, and we had a total of 311 house connection repairs completed in 2025. And at this time, if there's any questions, Mr. Chairman?
All right, thank you. Director, just, I don't have much for WPC. On page 319, property rental, where's WPC renting property at?
So we do have the railroad easements that we have to pay for, where we have sewer infrastructure going near the railroad. You have to maintain that, and then some of the pump stations. So a couple of the pump stations we have to rent, pay rental.
All right, and then can you just explain on page 320, the charges from water?
So those are the charges. So charges from water, as you know, the local charge is reflected on the water bill. As with any other entity that we bill for, whether it be sewers in a suburban partnership, there's a cost associated with that. That's the cost. Cost to be on the water bill is what this charge is from WPC.
All right, at this time, I'll open it up to my colleagues, Councilman Polensek.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, my honorable colleagues, to the director, to the commissioner. I should have said this when the two other commissioners were here. I really want to thank the response from Commissioner Danielson and Commissioner Markevich, both who have left the room. But I also want to thank Commissioner Lopez, because whenever I call him about an issue, he's always quick to respond. Are you still acting, Commissioner?
He is through the chairman of the councilman.
Why?
How long have you been acting, Commissioner?
It's been, it's going on 20 months.
20 months?
Yes.
You should have an Oscar by now. You've been acting so long.
Well, here, why don't we give him
good.
his
He's
Oscar?
got it
There we
already.
go.
He's got
There
the,
we
he's
go.
there it is.
There we
Just
go.
gotta
Yeah,
put the
Oscar.
name
We'll
on
give
it.
that. We'll give him the Oscar.
So then let's find out why,
I
Mr. Chairman.
thought you've done an excellent job, and I understand why you're still acting. But that's the call of the administration. I am assuming the mayor, but I hope he's hearing these committee hearings, because I don't think we've ever had a commissioner in utilities go 20 months without an appointment. So again, I hope you're successful in your quest, because you certainly deserve it. And to the administration, what is the cash balance for WPC?
The unencumbered cash balance for WPC at the end of 2025 is $30.6 million.
Okay, let me write that down. 30.
$0.6 million, as shown on page 42.
million, okay. Okay, because you know where I'm going to on this one too. So you'll be, during reconciliation, we're gonna try to take a little nip and tuck out of this operation as well, okay? To support what MOCAP is doing. Mr. Chairman, to the commissioner, on your data for number of employees again, you can see the challenges, the 55-plus crowd, if the bulk of your employees are over 55. Now, I appreciate the fact that you have implemented an apprenticeship program, but I'm hoping, and I was more to my colleagues on this, at one time in CMSD, when it functioned properly, they had what they called it wasn't an apprenticeship program, it was a co-op program, where you went to school a half a day, and then you went to a local employer for the rest of the day. I was in that program when I was in high school, and it worked. And I can think of all the people that I went to school with that came out and were automatically employed. I'm going to pose this through the chair to the administration. I'd like us to sit down and figure out how we can create a co-op program for WPC, for water, and CPP, where we would contract. It just doesn't have to be with CMSD. It can be with charter schools. It could be with the Catholic diocese, the parochial schools. We need to figure out how we come up with a pathway for young men and women to come in to our departments and divisions for these job opportunities. As Ted Ginn tells me all the time, Mr. Chairman, because I'm on the board of Ginn Academy, and I'm very proud of that fact, that not all my kids are going to be playing for Ohio State. He says that to me all the time. He needs pathways for employment opportunities. And we just got to figure out, because, I want to thank the chairman for requesting this, because I wish all the other departments and divisions would have provided the same detailed analysis of their staffing levels. The chairman has requested this, and I appreciate that. But also, you've indicated on your projections how many are Cleveland residents. I think to my colleagues and to the president and to council staff, every department and division, we should be asking for the same information. So again, I want to commend the chairman, Councilman Casey, for requesting this, because it gives us a picture. Are we being successful? Because I always promote city jobs in my neighborhood, whenever I'm at. Go on the website, go down to the first floor, because some people we know are not on the computer, but you can go down to the first floor and see what jobs are open in the various departments and divisions. We have got to figure out how to get more of our people and more of our kids and younger adults in the city jobs. I'm convinced of that totally. We've got a job is an opportunity for success. And as my dear late friend Stephanie Tubbs Jones would tell me all the time when we would talk, she said, one of our greatest tasks are trying to create and build wealth among our citizens. Create wealth opportunities, not to be, not a rich, but to provide where you can provide for yourself and your family and be able to buy a home, move in life. And we talked about it all the time because we went to Collinwood together. So at the end of the day, I'm going to pose this again through the chair to the administration. Let's figure out how we create a co-op program here with our 3 divisions. And maybe we can expand it to other sections of the city. But we got to create a pathway to fill all, because on your page here, on page 322, you can see in the numbers again, we got to fill these positions. And if 55, if that percentage is over 55, we got a problem brewing for us. A big problem coming down the pike for many of our departments and divisions. And again, we need to be mindful of it. We got to create opportunities, because if not, we're going to be behind the curve. So other than that, Mr. Chairman, again, I want to thank the commissioner. He's got a tough job, as all our commissioners do in utilities, to dealing with, because they know what it's like, what a councilman goes through. We're the ones that get the complaints, and we turn to you for assistance. And even on the holidays and some of the late night when I've called you, you've been able to, you've done what you can to respond as best as you can. And I'm old school. I appreciate that. I don't forget the commissioners who are like that, and I appreciate all 3 of the commissioners in utilities. I want to say that to the chair, to the director. I appreciate the efforts of WPC, and I want to say this to the finance director, and I hope the mayor's people are listening. It's about time you get appointed permanently to be commissioner. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilman Joe Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to kind of like leave off in some of the, catch up with some of the stuff that my colleague Mike Polensek has shared, because some of it is like the fundamental basics. You take care of the people who are your customers in your tax base and your constituency base. So hiring Clevelanders is significantly important, Mr. Chairman, to the director, and it's one of the reasons why I asked for some of the information, is to fundamentally get a breakdown of the companies and systems that we work with that supplies us services, to have a better understanding who's technically speaking in the city of Cleveland. One of the reasons the city of Cleveland is maintains, Mr. Chairman, I believe this, as being a poor city, is because we don't invest back into it. We don't hire the people who live in the city of Cleveland. We don't reward companies in a consistent basis who are in the city of Cleveland opportunities to get contracts. Now, we see some of that happening in one of the departments, I believe, and capital projects, where they're talking about small contracts, and maybe it takes a little bit more time. But there was something that I brought out. But for the big companies, Mr. Chairman, to the director, like the water department, and I know that Cleveland Public Power does a good job with, bringing in students from Cleveland, Cleveland schools. But we need to continue to look at that, in the water department, because it has the capacity, it has the cash flow to put these types of programs that DeRosa has put together in his program. And we would like to see older members like myself and Mike Polensek, who's been here for a while, would like to see something like that. And then another thing I think is valuable too, Mr. Chairman, is the fact that we have a lot of the various different directors and commissioners who come up with their various different departments, and they give us the flowery process of things, but they don't give us, like one of the company, I think it was DeRosa, again, did a fantastic job. He did a SWOT analysis. So he wasn't afraid about what would be the discussion at the end of the table. He was letting us know, here's our strengths, here's our weaknesses, here's what we need to look out for. That helps us here on this side of the table to help you on this side to plan for a better and stronger future. And so hiring citizens in the city of Cleveland, supporting small businesses in the city of Cleveland, strengthens the city of Cleveland, and makes our city much more stronger than what it has been. So when I can probably guarantee you, Mr. Chairman, by the time I pour over some of these numbers and some of these services, I can guarantee you a very big bulk, and I'm hoping it doesn't like frighten me, you know, how many contracts are on the outside the city of Cleveland. So with that, I want to move in, Mr. Chairman, to some pages and ask some questions. First, to Commissioner Lopez, Acting Commissioner Lopez. I'm sorry, I didn't get a chance. We played phone tag. My assistant has unfortunately had a medical challenge, and she hasn't been in the office. So I want to talk about an issue on Joanne Avenue, where, you know, here's a problem for me as a human being and as a citizen of this city, and as an African-American citizen of this city, is oftentimes we see people come in our neighborhoods, perform and do work, but they disrespect our community when they throw all their material, they block the driveways, they put big trucks and trailers out, they have debris on the sides. It makes our neighborhood look horrible. And when I go into other neighborhoods and suburban communities, I don't see that. They have controlled systems. They follow the order that's been prescribed to them by the systems, and they just don't do that. They'll find a vacant lot, and they'll organize their materials and their equipment in those spaces, and they perform their services respecting the humanity of the people who live in those neighborhoods. Now, I had an opportunity after hearing report after report, and then I went down there, and it was horrible. And then there's a number of projects that are going on, Mr. Chairman, to the director. I'd like to bring it to your attention, because some of this is with water main breaks and how we handle our customers. You know, not once, but twice, but 3 times our customers, you know, unfortunately, that have had to deal with these water main breaks has had slow response. And in one case, the lady got stuck in her driveway, after we had called several times, and they still didn't do what they were supposed to do at the end of the day. So she had to wind up paying money out of her pocket, in addition to others in other situation scenarios. I hadn't brought that to your attention because Mark Jackson has been doing a good job trying to help me out. And then I got to give kudos to Streets Commissioner Randy Scott for also assisting in some areas with dealing with some of these breaks, the ice, the snow, and stuff that had to be removed. So, but I do need to get with you. My colleague, Mike Polensik, made the argument, and I agree with his argument. Why are we doing work in the dead of winter? And why couldn't some of these projects wait? So I don't mind getting with you. We can go take a drive so you can physically see exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm quite sure you will agree with me. So, Mr. Chairman, on page 319, where it says professional services, we'd like to get a breakdown of what that number means. On that same line item down, if you move down to 460,000 other contractual, we'd like to get a breakdown there. Computer hardware, want to know who and what systems or companies. We move down that line item where it says safety equipment, would like to know who and what companies. The same would be for paving materials. The same would be for cement, sand, and gravel. We flip, Mr. Chairman, to page 320. We'd like to have a breakdown of the figure of charges from fiscal control, what that number looks like. You have something here for $3.6 million for charges from water. Want to know what that is and that breakdown, unless you want to, did you want to talk about that?
Already did.
The 3.6 seemed like it might be a quick answer, Mr. Chairman, to the director.
Through the chairman to the council member, that's what water pollution control pays to be on Cleveland Water's bill.
Say that again?
So you know that you're on your water bill, you pay for water pollution control under your local charge? Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have to pay water to be on their bill, just like we charge
so
any
this is
other
a charge.
municipality.
This is a fee.
That's correct.
Okay.
Thanks for explaining that again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And you know, if he had to explain it 100 times, each member has make the questions and they have their own way they do it. So I appreciate that, Mr. Chairman, to the director. Now, moving down where it says capital outlay, infrastructure, can we get a breakdown of that number?
Yes.
Also, under professional services, and then also under trucks.
Yes.
And then, Mr. Chairman, I look forward to working with the new acting commissioner to improve processes in my neighborhood. And then I want to ask this question because this is something that has been asked to me. Who's responsible, or is it a joint effort, to deal with the lead pipes? I know that
Director?
there's money that has been set aside for that.
Director?
Through the chairman to the council member, that would be the Division of Water on the remediation of lead from, according to the federal lead and copper rule. And we're doing more than anybody else in the state. We're doing
Whose rules, Mr. Chairman, to
the
the
federal
director?
government lead and copper rule.
Okay. And then,
Yeah, lead.
do we have, Mr. Chairman, a breakdown of just how bad this is? Because we've sat here at this table for a long time and talked about lead. And little did I know that it was, I don't know how bad it is. So, Mr. Chairman, can you give me an idea of what we're talking about, what we're dealing with?
So through the chairman to the council member, the Cleveland water far exceeds 7 times greater than the minimum thresholds for quality drinking water. So we've treated for lead since the 80s. So when you're at the table talking about lead, it's in any different facets, right? Through MOCAP, through building and housing, through all of those things. When we talk about it specifically,
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to rescind my time. I want to make sure I'm getting to the point. And Mr. Chairman, the question, Mr. Chairman, no disrespect to the director, is how bad is the issue?
Director?
How bad is it in terms of what we have to replace? How
terms of water
extensive is
quality?
this? No.
Oh, okay.
Lead
that's
pipes
the most
that are.
important thing we do is quality.
Mr. Chairman, that wasn't a question I asked you, Mr. Chairman. I know you want to just take my time. I want to get nitty gritty. Now, if
Division
I have
of
to go
Water,
back on the back
anyhow.
end, I will, to really get down deep.
Yeah.
But I think this is something easy for you. Maybe you know it, maybe you don't. The question, Mr. Chairman, is the federal government has given you, has said that this issue needs to be resolved. What my question was, Mr. Chairman, in terms of lead pipes in the city of Cleveland, right? That you're responsible for replacing some of those lead pipes. Is that correct, Mr. Chairman, to the director?
Chairman of the council member, that's correct.
Okay. So my question, Mr. Chairman, and if I'm not asking the right question, I apologize for that right up front, but I thought I was clear. What is the extent of what you have to do to reach that requirement? How big is this right now? How many jobs are we talking about? How extensive is it to replace these lead pipes in the city of Cleveland?
So all of the potential lead connections are available on the website. So it's all publicly facing. You can log on right now and put in your address and see. Estimated to be approximately 150,000 connections in our service area. And in terms of the lead and copper rule, till 2037 is the current threshold, unless the EPA or multiple lawsuits change that. And any dollar amount to affix to it or jobs would be impossible, to your question.
And
Jobs
Mr.
is-
Chairman,
but
let me ask this
dollar
question.
No,
amount-
hang on.
Can I answer it?
Councilman, if you, I think the director's answered.
He answered.
That's more of a water. We're on water pollution control. We'd be more than happy to put you back on the list or to meet with you separate. This is
Do
so
I still
much
have
bigger
time
than-
remaining,
than-
Mr.
than-
Chairman?
No, you're out of time, but I can put you back on.
Okay, if you
I
could,
can
but
put you back on.
maybe you might not have to, because the issue is, I'm just, and this is no disrespect, Mr. Chairman, to you, so thank you for the extra time. To the director, it's just me trying to get a grasp of what the issue fundamentally really is. And when you talk about 150,000 connectors, are you referring, Mr. Chairman, to the director in the city of Cleveland or throughout your entire
No,
system?
service area.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
and this is so much bigger than we could answer here at the table. So we'd be more than happy to make sure you get up to speed with that, if you don't mind.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if you could put me on the back end, and then I have a few more
And
questions.
we're in
on
water
that.
pollution control, and that's more of a water thing.
But
Councilman
since
Harsh.
he's here, that's why I'm asking him. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Before I get to my question, through the chair to the commissioner, I know you said you've been in interim for 20 months, but how long have you been with water pollution control through the chair?
I'm going on 18 years.
18 years. You know, Mr. Chairman, I love nothing more in municipal government than rising through the ranks. I think nothing speaks better to employees to watch their coworkers climb the ladder and achieve management positions. I think that just speaks volumes to new people when you're trying to recruit people into your department, whether it's public power, water pollution control. So I think there's an immense value in that. I understand that sometimes we have to go outside and bring people in, but when you can promote from within, that's a sign of a healthy culture, that's a sign of a good work environment, and that's a really great signal to new people that they can, start off lower and work their way up. So I hope we correct this situation. My question for you, Commissioner, through the chair, is about the pump stations. We have 11 pump stations. And my question is, where are they? Are they all down in the flats, or are they scattered throughout the city? Where are these 11 in general?
Through the chair to the council member, they're scattered throughout the city. So we got one at Stevedore here, down by the stadium by West 3rd.
Yeah.
We got one in Panna Lane, which is over by West 11th near the Broadview area.
Uh-huh.
We got one near Edgewater.
Uh-huh. But through the chair, they're all generally in low-lying areas.
Low-lying areas
obviously
in the
they're
city,
pumps, right?
yes, and they're forced mains to pump the water out if necessary.
Okay.
Yep.
Through the chair, are any of those built in direct response to specific development projects? Like when we built the stadium down here 30 years ago, did we have to put a pump down there as part of that construction project? Or are these just sort of just generally service customers on a large scale?
Yeah, no, we didn't have to put it when we built the stadium, but yeah, it's been there for quite some time. And there was actually more pump stations, and they had to, shut down a few of them. I think the director could probably speak more on that too.
Well, it's not so relevant. I guess what I'm trying to figure out is none of them were built in response to one specific project. They were just put in because they needed to be put in because there's people down there and we have to get the sewage out. And the only way to do that was with a pump. So we put a station down there so that area could be used.
Correct. Chairman to the councilman, that's correct.
Okay. And then through the chair, so the cost, I would assume, of pumping sewage is greater than the gravity system. I mean, it costs more to run a pump station.
Chairman to the councilman, correct.
Okay. And through the chair then, are those costs then dispersed equally throughout the entire network, or are they specific to the customers that need to use that type of infrastructure?
Chairman to the council member, of these 11 pump stations, spread evenly throughout our customer base.
Okay. The reason I'm asking that I'm getting at is they want to build a stadium out in Brook Park, and they want to build it 80 feet into the ground. And it occurs to me that it's going to take a lot of pumps to get water and sewage out from 80 feet down. And I'm just wondering who pays that cost. Is that something that whoever the municipal infrastructure out there that owns that will have to build those pump stations, and then that cost would probably be distributed throughout their entire customer base?
I wouldn't. It would be the customer, the developer.
That developer
development
built
would
that
have
in as
to
part of their.
accommodate for. Correct.
We just know it's not water pollution control.
That's correct.
It's not us. Yeah, I get that part. I was just curious about how the existing pump stations work in terms of cost distribution, but they're part of our general network, and their costs are just baked in with the rest of it. That was my only question. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Councilman Conwell.
Thank you very much. The trainees, back to the trainees real quick. I have that down. So you guys, through the chair, you go in and you recruit the students. That's what you said, right?
Chairman to the councilman, that's correct.
And the total cost of recruiting them this year would be $364,000. Is that it for the student trainees? And you recruit them doing what? You broke the budget down. Is it because of training or recruiting dollars to recruit them? How did that break down through the chair?
Chairman to the councilman, that's under salaries. So those are the salaries we associate with those 7 apprentices, because as they work through the system, they're not quite into the union yet. So we have to have another line item to accommodate for their salaries, and benefits is baked into the benefits. So historically, water pollution control tried to do 2 at a time, and now the commissioner's up to 7. So we're really expanding the apprenticeship opportunities, which is reflected then in the student trainees on salaries on page 318.
So what kind of job spots do you put them on? Or do you when you train them, you put them in a classroom, or you have a trainer to train them while they're executing on the job, do you teach them the entire system of like doing, because I don't want them just to be, I mean, it's a good job with meaningful benefits, but they need to know the director, the system, accounting, finance, purchasing and procurement, the system through the chair.
Chairman, to the council member, yes, that would be wonderful, but again, these are done through cooperation with the unions, and these are for a specific job title. So it's classroom and on-the-job training, but it's for a specific role. In this regard, it would be a sewer service worker. But again, our objective is to get everybody in and then train them and get them to take my seat, right? I mean, that's why
That's what I want them to do. I mean, not like, you know, we were on the other side of the table, but you got to cultivate them.
We agree.
Like my colleague was saying.
We agree completely.
Harsh.
Yes.
Councilmember Harsh.
Yes.
That would help us by going through the rank, and they'll get excited. Because how do you know through the chair what kind of job spot do they want to be? I don't know all your systems in there. Do you ever get them into finance or accounting? You don't have a union for that. Is that correct?
So
Or
not-
human resources?
Yeah, not under this line item. I mean, we do have the other student trainees that are under the admin budget that are kind of the historical high school, college student who show an interest into engineering or to human resources or to IT. So that's not in this. That's not what we would qualify as an apprenticeship with the union, which is what WPC is reflected here. All those other opportunities have been taken under this budget under utilities admin. But yeah, I mean, we do have other opportunities, but this is specific to WPC and a sewer service worker.
George, speaking of job spots and workloads through the chair, you don't have storekeeping in here or hiring employees to be storekeepers or, you know, systems dealing with inventory because you got just in time here. So I know you purchase inventory. So you got systems with storekeeping. If you don't run a tight ship, then we're going to have issues and concerns to the chair, to the director.
Couldn't agree more, Chairman, to the council member. Those are under fiscal control. So instead of each individual department having their storekeepers, we've taken it under fiscal control in order to further, you know, scrutinize and make sure that we're not losing things that we need to serve our customers with. So we've put it under one umbrella and kind of taken it out of the individual divisions in order to have across-the-board policies and practices to protect those types of inventory.
Good job for them when they leave if they learn purchasing and procurement also. I know that's under admin, right? Administration.
Fiscal.
Fiscal. If they learn that.
Procurement, yeah.
Yeah, because then you see where the equipment is coming in and what inventory and where it's going to, purchasing and procurement, right? It controls your purse strings.
Right, big.
Yeah, that'd be good for them to learn that, because then they could take that through the chair, that knowledge with them anywhere they want to go.
No doubt.
That's a good one. You know what? Let me move forward then. My catch basins, I have to call them in myself through the chair. You said you, on here, you inspect, back here on page 317, 22,491 catch basins inspected. When I drive the neighborhood, not only just mine, and yeah, it's everywhere. I notice it. You know, I had a councilman, I look, it could be in any ward, is trash and debris right around the catch basins, and that have to be cleaned out on an ongoing basis. And I see your workers out there every now and then, but the reality, I see a lot of trash and debris right around the catch basins. Do we have, through the chair, anyone to drive the neighborhood to look at that? That's a quality of life issue.
Through the
Chair.
Through the chair to Councilman, yes, we have 8 house connection inspectors that are assigned different areas every day, and they canvass the area, and they look for those things. Obviously, if we get called out to one, or we get a resident call in, or you call in, then we send them out there to confirm, and then we get a truck out there. But yeah, they're constantly on a rotation of canvassing the city, because all of our CBs are on a 3-year rotation in cleaning.
3-year rotation.
3-year rotation of cleaning. So unless it's called earlier, we constantly are looping them around. Check the CBs. They got to do so many CBs per day. They got to take pictures. They got to pop the catch basin cover, pop it off, take pictures. They got to check the brickwork. They got to do all that assessment on it so that we can determine what we got to do work order wise.
Okay, I got you then, to try to do prevention.
Yes.
Chair, Commissioner, I forgot your name.
Ryan Lopez.
Yeah, because I never talk with you, to the chair. I never talk with you. I give it to my assistant, and then they push it through. I write down my issues and concerns, and I hear that you're a great commissioner. I hear all those good and great things about you. But, you and I never, ever had a conversation, and we never, ever met. I don't think so.
I think we talked at Councilman Santana's event last summer.
Oh, yeah.
That was the one time we talked, yeah.
That was good. That's a good event. That was a good event. I really dug that, man. and I like the music, too. The music is good. It's on the one. It's constantly on the one. But let me stick, because I get on the music and keep going.
Are you good, Councilman?
Yeah. I'm not finished yet. The buzzer haven't went off. You got to give me 30 seconds in there. Through the chair, your vehicle maintenance, you have that down. But what kind of systems do you have with your vehicle maintenance? How do you know what to shop for? What's the future of it? And so what are you looking at with your vehicle maintenance equipment? That's on page 319. And you have drivers to drive your vehicles. So when they drive it, when they get out, do they do a checklist, vehicle maintenance checklist, to let you know that you need oil change, you need gas, whatever the case may be? And through the chair also, since I'm being time management on me, where do you store your gas at? I don't see that on here. That's inventory as well, and that's money, that's dollars as well.
Chairman, to the council members, so on 319, as reflected under maintenance vehicles, that's more for the contracts that are under the Division of Water Pollution Control for our tractors, and then for some of the other specialized equipment. Charges from MVM would be any other, there's different types of vehicles, but at WPC specifically, and more at CPP, there's some very specialized vehicles.
They are.
That we have contracts with different vendors. Either they're under warranty because they're newer, we bought them, or they're proprietary for the vac truck and the vac all, that we have contracts in place to maintain those. But across all the divisions, we try to make it a priority to maintain the equipment that our customers own.
Yeah.
It's really important.
Their preventive maintenance is important.
Yes.
It's important.
And then the fuel, I think, is from MVM, right? Charges from MVM as reflected on page 320.
So how do you, since the clock haven't went off on me yet, through the chair, how do you control that with your, in your inventory with your
Cards. Everybody has to have a card. Fuel card?
Fuel card.
Yes.
Yep.
Associated with a truck that we can associate with a work order.
Track
at the work that they did. Yes, correct.
That's a good thing. That's all I need. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On through the chair to the interim commissioner, on page 317, under the output metrics, there's a list for house connection repairs and the time to complete in days, and it increased. It seems rather significant to me, from 3.76 days in 2024 to 6.9 days in 2025. Can you explain what's going on there?
Yes, through the chair to the councilwoman. Those days went up. We have a fluctuation of staff. Our guys are on 4/10s rotation. We got a Monday through Thursday, Tuesday through Friday. So based on, obviously, importance of the job, the issue that's going on, if it's a main sewer or if it's just a lateral connection. Some jobs can take longer because we are the lowest utility, so sometimes we have to get through other utilities to get to our connection. And then, if a job is required for a backhoe operator to dig deeper and we get call-offs, that can slow the job down. Other than that, though, it's, just getting the job completed and then getting the flow fill into the hole when we call our cement trucks to come out and fill the hole. That's why it could be a little longer sometimes. Just the fluctuation of do you have any, thank you. And through the chair, do
do you mean when completed, that means like completely restored, or does that mean that, you know, is completed restoring sewer service to the home?
That's completely done. When we fill the hole up as we excavate down, if it's a, if it's a, if it's a concrete street or it's a asphalt street, when we fill the hole back up with cement, we turn the hole, we leave a, you know, a little 6-inch gap there for streets to come repave it. So that's us completed, done, handing it over to streets.
Okay, thank you. So through the chair, that's not necessarily the time that a house might be without sewer service.
No. Usually we get relief for the home same day.
Okay.
The day we're there, we excavate, we break the pipe, it gives the homeowner relief. That's just to the end of the process when we turn it over to streets.
Okay, thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Councilwoman Gray.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say that I've worked with Commissioner Lopez since he came on, and I just want to say you have done an excellent job with me working in Ward 4/now Ward 3. Anytime I have called you for anything, you have came on that day, investigate, surveyed the area, and took care of it within a week. So I just want to say thank you for your quick service, your quick response to my emails. The residents have learned to understand the system, and they have now learned to be patient of how everything works. And that is the connection of communication that they need to see and understand. It takes time. It's a timely matter. So I just want to say, I have no complaints with your service. And since now I am incumbent in Salvage Village, the residents love you, because we're getting a lot of calls from that area now, and you have taken care of a lot of things within a week. So thank you for your service, and I appreciate it. So, but I just have one question. This may not be for UPC. I might probably missed the water because I stepped out. I want to ask Chair to the director or the commissioner, who takes care of the hydrants when they are hit by a car or you need to service them? We have a lot of questions pertaining to the freeze that happened in the last couple of weeks. A lot of the hydrants, even though you did explain, Chair to the director, that that you have incorporated that pipe that goes inside the hydrant where the water won't freeze. However, could you explain clearly to our residents, when they see the hydrant is frozen on the outside, the water is not frozen on the inside, but also the second part of when the hydrants are hit by a car, that's a timely matter for those hydrants to be replaced. So could you or the commissioner,
Director?
explain that to the audience?
Thank you, Chairman, to the council member. Hydrants are the responsibility of the Division of Water, and it's a very serious responsibility that we take, and you're correct. It's not, there's not water flowing up to the hydrant at all times. There is a valve down below the frost line where it is manipulated by a key, and then water comes up through the hydrant. Anytime a hydrant is hit, we actually do have a CA, a contract maintenance of the utility system, is how it's reflected in the budget, where we budget a considerable amount of money, and they have been responsive to our hydrant complaints, and if you have them, let us know and we'll get them in right away. Thank you.
Is that it? All right. One thing that I wanted to mention is water pollution control and their collaboration with streets for leaf pickup. I think leaf pickup in the city of Cleveland is a preventative measure, and I think water pollution control is something that we should partner with, and we should have a lengthy conversation or an extended conversation with leaf pickup in the city of Cleveland with preventative measures for water pollution control. Aside from that, we got a break for lunch, so we'll come back we'll do administration, radio communications, and fiscal control, and we'll be back at 12:45.